gentlemen. Yes, it's true. It really is true. We're back. Woo, woo, woo. See, Scott? I can sing that too. There we go. There we go. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
See. How you doing, big man? How you doing?
Doing good.
Don't know what that start was all about. That really knocked us off our kilter, didn't it? Yeah. Can you believe it? We're back again for a Freaky Friday, Scott, already.
Already. It
Crazy,
just
right?
Seems like time. It's like these days are just kind of ticking away. Just boom, 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 boom. I think it has something to do with this time acceleration thing.
I think so, man. Could be.
Yeah. It used to seem like, a week take a while, to go by.
Used to take about a week.
Used to take about a week.
No, it feels like a couple of days,
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, man.
Some might say it used to feel like a week. Others say it used to feel like 7 days. Hey, easy. Listen, I have got a funny feeling that time, it may come up on tonight's conversation because we're going to be talking about the genius of Nikola Tesla. Oh, Scotty, when we agreed to do this at the end of last week, really got my imagination going, because it's been a while since we've kind of taken a look at somebody who in my mind has to be one of the geniuses out there.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, Tesla was one of these individuals that they only come along, every couple hundred years or so, and they do stuff that really revolutionize like the push forward in technology and then the way that like humanity goes, or at least somebody who comes up with concepts or has these ideas, and maybe they might not have been able to completely fulfill them within their lifetime. The idea of it ended up coming to fruition later on through, as technology improved or whatever, but they had the concept, right? It's kind of like a Da Vinci or something like that. Oh
man, you're stealing thoughts out my head already. This could be a good one. Yeah.
Like how Da Vinci was, coming up with concepts of helicopters and aircraft and all kinds of different things that were, hundreds of years ahead of his time. So, it's really interesting looking into, the things that Tesla did, the things he was able to achieve, and then, maybe some of the things that who knows if he achieved it or not, because there was a lot of his work that was taken, and we don't actually know what all he was able to achieve. Is a lot of that stuff hidden.
Well, we can get to that. Don't you give the full story just yet, you. Look, I'm joking again. Look, we've been joined by the man in the wind tunnel, Nacy. Oh dear, Nacy, please mute up. Hey, oh, what was going on there? Dang. I think Nacy is trying to crawl his way out of a really rustly plastic bag right now. Is that what it sounded like? Like that, kind of.
And Nacy was on the road last time we spoke to him. He was a man blasting down the highway. So all I know is that Nacy must have arrived safely at his destination. So that's a good sign.
Although it sounded like he was still driving with the window down there, I must admit. But listen, folks, if you
did I figure this out?
Oh. Whoa, dude, what's going on there?
Am I here?
You're here, but you're very, very in and nasty.
You want to drop me and call me back?
It seems to have died away now.
Okay. Sorry about that. I was
it's
rustling.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was weird, dude. It was weird. It was like
Skype must even the levels out.
yeah. Skype has
did its
sorted
little
itself.
adjustment.
Are you doing
Yeah.
Nathan?
Well, I only went 8 days fasting. Plans fell through to get to the Serpent Mound. So a little bummed out about that. But I had the opportunity to go to the reservation and have ceremony with our birch bark scroll on the reservation and talk about a powerful, powerful occurrence. It was incredible.
Nice. Sounds good, man. Sounds good. And tonight we're going to be getting into Tesla, stuff like that. So could be a good one.
Oh,
there.
Tesla, the band? Sweet.
Yeah, something like that. So listen, if people want to head on over to the chat room at tfrlive.com, the home of Freaky Friday, go to tfrlive.com/chat. And in there, I'll be over there in a couple of minutes to give you a shout out. But to get us warmed up today for what lies ahead, Nikola Tesla, that's going to be the main topic for discussion. And I've been taking a look around, and I'd saved something a couple of weeks ago before I even knew we were going to be doing a Tesla show. And it was something I hadn't really heard before. Hadn't really seen any of these quotes out there. And I thought it'd be a really nice way to kind of open up tonight's show. And it's from an 1899 interview with, I think it's it's one of the big American newspapers at the time. And he's been interviewed by a journalist called Mr. Smith. And Mr. Smith is kind of saying to Tesla, you know, he's saying to him, I'm really struggling to take you seriously because you take everything so unseriously. You almost treat everything as if it's a game. And Tesla replied to him, Dear Mr. Smith, the problem is that people take everything very seriously. If they did not, they would be happier and live much longer. A Chinese proverb says that tremendousness reduces life. But for readers of this newspaper, do not frown. Let's go back to things they consider important. And then the journalist jumps back in and he says, sure, they would love to know about your philosophy, and this is where it gets mind-blowing. Because Nikola Tesla replied, well, life is a rhythm that must be understood. I feel that rhythm, and I let it lead, and I consent. It was very nice and gave me the knowledge that I have. All that lives is in a deep and wonderful relationship. The man and the stars, the amoebas and the sun, the heart and the circulation of an infinite number of worlds. These ties are unbreakable but can be tame, appropriate, and begin to create new and different relationships in the world and not violate the old. Knowledge comes from space. Our vision is the perfect set. We have two eyes, the earthly and the spiritual. It's recommended that they become an eye. The universe is alive in all its manifestations like a thinking animal. The stone is thinking, and it's a sensitive being, such as planets, beasts, and man. A star that shines asks to be seen, and if we were not self-absorbed, we would understand its language and its message. The breath, the eyes, the ears of the man have to fulfill the breath, the eyes, and the ears of the universe. And that there was Nikola Tesla. So I hadn't heard that before, guys, and I thought that might be a nice way to kind of open up today's shenanigans.
Awesome.
You like that? You like it?
I like it. I like it. His mindset, I think, was very, very ahead of its time as far as the concepts of kind of, you know, the theory of what he believed was actually, you know, going on with the universe, and how we're all connected. And to me, it sounds like he was talking a lot about basically, you know, spooky action at a distance kind of stuff, quantum, where quantum entanglement, how everything in the universe is connected at some level, that there is this relationship that everything does share, in the universe. So I mean, yeah, it's mind-blowing stuff, man. That
It
he was,
sure is. It sure is. And Nacy, any quick thoughts before I go and round up these Wookiees over in the Wookiee cave? Nope. Nothing from the Nacy. I am heading over to the chat room then, tfrlive.com/chat. And there you've got me and Sophia. Hey, me and her. We're joined at the digital hip. We've got Bam, Nightshade, Doc Michael. That's a new name. I'm liking that. There's a doctor in the house. We've got the drone-free zone. All one. Gentle Wolverine. Waffle Buddy. Carol. Good to see you, Carol. Diver Dave. He's diving deep tonight. Will he be as deep down the rabbit hole as we go, though? Mm-hmm.
Hey, is Diver Dave... is he the best friend of Scuba Steve?
He could be, dude. He could be, right?
I just thought, Diver Dave and Scuba Steve. Sounds like they'd be, rolling out,
They're
doing
homies. Yep.
and stuff. They're homies,
Next week, I bet you we see a Scuba Dave in there. I'll be Scuba Dave. I'm going to do it. So we've got cold brews, and I bet you Diver Dave and Scuba Steve would like some of those. We've got a Robo Fish as well. There's a bit of an ocean kind of theme taking place here,
It is.
And then we've got Z Troy, man, a fellow Scotsman. Good to see you, brother. We've got the hacker. Ready? 3, 2, 1. He's just gone psycho, Dave. Yes, indeed. We've got paradoxical anomaly. Now drone-free zones confusing me because he's appeared again. Do 2 drone-free zones cancel each other out so we're really in a drone zone? I would say it does. In my mind, it does. Divine Citizen. Wow, we're even getting divine beings coming into the chat room, guys. And last but not least, over in the Wookiee cave, we've got Liz. So with that said, we're not quite going to launch into Nikola Tesla yet. You see, Scotty? You see, I kind of warned you beforehand because we opened up with Tesla because that is going to be the main game in town today. However, yesterday, Scotty kind of dropped into the conversation that there's been more happenings at his location. So, Scotty, what's going on, dude? Is the Shadow Man back?
It appears so. It appears that the activity has picked back up. And my mom was just telling me before the show, she said, you know what? It seems like it's around this time of the year that these kind of things happen, right? Like when we're starting to get into spring and stuff. And I was like, okay, interesting. Just another thing to note, like maybe certain times of the year also trigger activity. We see that in a lot of different cases as well, right? Like activity picks up on like equinoxes and when certain things align or whatever. So I don't know, maybe that plays a little bit of a role. But so what has happened is my brother, who's the second oldest, besides me, I'm the oldest, and he's the second oldest, below me. He's the one that has had these experiences with the shadow people and like shadow animals too. It looks like these small kind of things or whatever. But he said he recently had kind of the experience of the shadow animal thing happening again. So we had that happen, and then my youngest brother, his girlfriend said that she saw a shadowy figure outside of our house when she was outside. and I don't know exactly where it occurred, but it would fall in line with what other people have seen around here outside my house. So I wonder if it was like up by this tree where people have seen stuff before. So she saw that. And then my youngest brother said that he saw, now this is kind of the opposite, Kev. He saw a white figure move across the area in the kitchen where, remember the legs in the photograph? That same area, but this was a white figure, like almost like maybe a white apparition or something, kind of move across, and it freaked him out. You know, he got up immediately because he was up in the living room playing Call of Duty. It was late at night. It was like 2 in the morning.
Not anymore. He wasn't.
Yeah, not anymore. He was, you know,
Didn't
whatever.
have anything for ghosts in his loadout. I'm out of there.
No, exactly. And I had just went to bed not too long before, so I mean, maybe it was something that I would have maybe saw too if I would have still been up, because I had just went to bed or whatever. But I mean, it was enough to make. He got up. He turned his little flashlight on his cell phone and was looking. He's like, "Whoa, what was that?" You know, because it was enough to make him get up and look around, and because he saw something. But yes, that's an update on some of the recent activity going on around here, and I don't know, man. I don't know. Something about that kitchen.
White things.
What do you make of it, Nacy? What do you make of it, man?
I love it. It's always enjoyable to see things that go beyond our general science.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
And I enjoy it more when it's, especially the naysayers, when all of a sudden they have experiences. And that's one thing that I do enjoy in my home. When people come to my home and I'll tell them, I'm like, hey, just to give you forewarning, you might see things or witness things that just seem a little weird and bizarre. So you've been forewarned. And there's been a few that have said down in the basement they've seen a few things.
Well, I mean, look, to me, it's a little more validation because this is another third party, right? My brother's girlfriend.
That photograph still remains one of the eeriest things I've seen, Scott. The leg.
Oh, the legs. Yeah. I've got to get that photograph back again because I lost it during a hard drive. Clean.
Don't talk about cleaning hard drives. Don't go there. Don't go there. I've had one of those days, man. There's been gremlins. I went beyond the veil into my processor and hard drive earlier on. There's gremlins and ooga boogas in there and all sorts. Trust me. Not good. Not good.
You know what? I share your frustration because I've had to deal with issues like that many a time. In the line of work I do, it's just it's so frustrating.
I'm just happy that at this fast that I had, last solstice fast I had a bunch of electronics dying out on me. I think I told you guys my stove died, my refrigerator died, my daughter's phone went to heck. So it's really interesting, like you were saying about the equinox, because you get me going on this again. I believe absolutely that this weekend is the equinox. And I think it's really ironic that it's the new moon also. And according to my ancestors, this new moon is now the beginning of April's moon. And so they're already tapping the maple trees on the reservation. And usually that doesn't happen until the end of March.
Whoa.
So things are weird.
It's weird. I was just about to say, I can totally vouch for what Nace's saying. It's weird. This whole season has been weird. The whole winter and everything has been weird. And right now we're getting rain, and we're under like a bunch of flood watches and everything around here. We're having a bunch of thunderstorms and all of this stuff already, and it just seems like kind of like the season is a little bit accelerated, right? And they say like things are moving a little bit faster than what they should be. So it does seem odd.
It makes me wonder if there's a possibility that the powers that should not be stole Nikola Tesla's ideas of weather control.
Hey, that's a big part of a lot of the stuff he was looking into, right? And I mean, look, as we dig deeper into, and get into the stuff about him, as we go on through the show, he definitely, I mean, he was doing wireless, basically wireless energy. We're seeing the technology now where you can do wireless charging on your phone. Well, that's all derived from what Nikola Tesla was doing with his Tesla towers, right? His power generation towers, where you could be miles away and still receive power just
That's
out
what
of
I'm
the air.
talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So for people out there that might be getting their first crash course in Tesla, I'd like to think there is somebody out there that hasn't really heard about him. I remember when I hadn't heard about him, because when you find out about him and what he was into and the stories that surround him, I tell you, it is one of those moments. It's memorable. And I tell you, life isn't quite the same again when you start to appreciate kind of the stuff that he was conceptualizing, building. And it's hard not to imagine the world we might be in now if only we had gone down the Tesla road. But for those who don't know him, let's just get a bit of the official story. And that is that he is Nikola Tesla. And he was born on the 10th of July.
1856.
It was, yes. And he passed on the 7th of January, 1943. He was a Serbian-American inventor, an electrical engineer, a mechanical engineer, and futurist, best known for his contributions to the designs of the modern alternating current, AC as we all know it, and the electricity supply system. Now, born and raised in the Austrian Empire, Tesla studied engineering and physics in the 1870s without receiving a degree, gaining practical experience in the early 1800s, working in telephony and the Continental Edison, and at Continental Edison in the new electrical power industry. So, in 1884, he moved over to the United States, where he became a naturalized citizen. And he worked for a short time at the Edison Machine Works, which is quite ironic when we get later on into the story, in New York City, before he struck out on his own. With the help of partners to finance and market his ideas, Tesla set up laboratories and companies in New York to develop a range of electrical and mechanical devices. His AC induction motor and related polyphase AC patents, licensed by the Westinghouse Electric in 1888, earned him a considerable amount of money and became the cornerstone of the polyphase system that the company eventually marketed. So let me just stop there for now. That's enough of reading out the blurb. It's enough of reading out the blurb. So I mentioned the whole Edison thing in there. And I also mentioned it's hard not to imagine the world we might live in now if things had gone slightly differently when it came to kind of the whole industrial revolution and the explosion of electricity and the way they went about it, guys. Because we know we live in a world where they didn't take the no-brainer option and they thought about what? Greed. Money.
Exactly. I mean, it's interesting because, Tesla kind of cut his teeth in Edison, right in the beginning, right? That's where he kind of
started. It's weird how the universe works. Eh?
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, who else was doing anything with electricity at the time? Edison, right? So I mean, I guess if you were in that field, that's who you were going to work for, right? It's almost like if you were in the oil, if that was your specialty or whatever, your what you were doing, then probably you were working for Standard Oil, right? It's not like there was many other options out there. Edison kind of had the market on all that. So when Tesla first arrived on the scene, he was doing stuff for Edison, but then it's like, he breaks off and then he starts doing his own thing. But unfortunately, as you see with the story of Tesla, right, is that it's a lot of these partnerships and financial things that end up screwing him over, right? I mean, he's a genius, and he's coming up with all of these awesome ideas and inventions and patents and all of that stuff. But on the other hand, he was taken advantage of, and screwed over in a lot of ways as well. So, like you said, Kev, a lot of it had to do with the money, which is unfortunate.
It's the money, honey.
Yep.
Oh, the Wookiee, he is taking us out to the break as well this week. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Yes, indeed. And a big shout out to everyone in the chat room. And then Paul was saying how it's funny it doesn't mention General Electric in there. And I was scrolling down. It's absolutely massive, that whole wiki on him. It's probably got everything about him and a whole heap of stuff that probably he didn't do. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's one of the, and it's actually one of the longer wikis I've seen. Check all that out. There's a lot of stuff in there, man. So yeah, we just kind of want the basics. So, because I like to hear the guys talking about it, and I think the audience like to hear us talking about it, as opposed to, reading it all off a wiki.
Yeah, getting this cold, sterile,
you get
from
sticky on wiki. Yeah.
Well, I can't confirm or deny that I may or may not have had my oldest daughter read the autobiography of Nikola Tesla.
Nice.
Well, hey.
Nice.
It's
absolutely.
It's an awesome story.
I'm fascinated by him. Do you guys remember when we were talking about Isaac Newton, and at the very end of it, we started talking about Nikola Tesla? And then when I had that weird moment, and I wasn't feeling good and stuff, and every time I don't feel good, I anoint myself with oil. And then while I was muted, Kev was talking about Tesla when he was sick, when he was a young adult, and that he had a pulse rate of over 200, and his claim of getting through it was anointing himself with oil. And Kev was reading that at the same time as I'm putting rose oil on myself, and I just got a little freaked out.
Hey, yeah, it's one of those weird synchronicity things. In fact, I think that was the show that sort of gave us the idea to actually do a show on Tesla, because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong out there, I think it was Cupcake in the chat was sent a super chat asking about Tesla and stuff, and that's what got us talking about it. And we're like, yeah, that would be an awesome show to do, and get everyone caught up on why Nikola Tesla was such a awesome dude. He was an awesome guy, and he was really, really ahead of the curve when it came to everything.
And to be frank about it, I have a little anxiousness about doing a Nikola Tesla show because I am such a fanatic. So I'm sure we can do the full show with enough Tesla stuff.
There we go.
Oh, we'll geek out, man. We're gonna geek out on some Tesla.
Love
right,
it,
Kev?
love it. Yeah, I thought I'd missed our cue to come back there, but here we go.
No.
Here we go, guys. Here we go.
Back in time, man.
Just. There we go.
I want it all on my freedom and
Yeah, we'll wait a second yet then. Oh no! Now it's over 100 people.
20 seconds.
Over 100 people on YouTube. See what an amateur hour I am. You see, this is why you should never simulcast. Oh.
There we almost were.
Here we go.
There we go.
There we go. We're back. Yes. I was too quick out the gates again, boys. Too quick out the gates.
Hey,
what can I say?
You're like quick draw McGraw, and sometimes you're just a little too quick, a little too quick on the draw. But hey, it's better to be quick on the draw than to be late, I guess.
True.
Right?
True. Very
Premature
true.
connecting.
Yes. It's from your military time, they say. Somebody tells you to be somewhere at X o'clock. You're there 5 minutes to X o'clock, right?
And then you wait and wait
yes,
and wait and wait.
Yes, and yes. There's a lot of waiting in the military. They don't show you that at the careers office. I'd say most of my time in the army, albeit brief, it was still waiting. It was still sitting around hangars, sitting around fields, sitting in the back of trucks. Lots and lots and lots of waiting in different uniforms,
Look, there's a lot of time that passes when they're figuring out, what to do with all these guys, right? I mean, you got a lot of guys.
No, because they've got stripes and they're usually sitting having a really nice meal and they're in like 4-star accommodation and having a drink. And he's not disagreeing, he knows.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
The company commanders they'd be in the mess hall taking their time and we'd be lined up on the hard deck.
And they would still give you a hard time when they got there late themselves,
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting how, like, no matter what country you're from, like, the military is usually kind of run in everything is very structured.
There's a blueprint how to break people, brainwash them, and build them back up. There's a certain blueprint. There's only so many ways you can do it. That's why it's so across the board. But listen, we're here today to talk about the genius of Nikola Tesla. Now, Kevin gave away something very interesting there, and that is that he has had the autobiography of Nikola Tesla kicking about over there at NASA HQ. NASA, tell us some of the little anecdotal stories that you might have about this. Well, amazing.
I guess.
And for you, can I ask you, NASA, do you think he's like a very special individual that maybe one only comes along every so often? Or do you think he was just lucky that he was able to tap into that Akashic record, the consciousness, the universe, the ether, as he calls it?
Well, if you go into the past of when he was a little boy, and he had 2 sisters and a brother, and at one time his brother was thrown by the family horse. And he was kind of a well-to-do family. He had servants and maids and that stuff. And he was known to tease them. He was a delightful kid, kind of a little standoffish. But when his brother died, it was really hard on his parents. And I think my belief is from that moment on, he didn't feel quite loved anymore, because of his mother and father's grief for their son.
Can I ask you a question, Kev? About his childhood. Now, I've heard it been said, and I don't know if it's true or not, though, but I've heard it been said that his dad or somebody connected to his father worked in the Vatican or around the Vatican, and this meant that Nikola Tesla, as a young boy, was kicking around in the Vatican and may have had access to the Vatican vault. It sounds like something off of one of these way out there wacky kind of boards, but is there any truth to it at all, man?
His father was a preacher or a pastor, I guess you could say. His father was brilliant. His father knew several languages. He had a, what's it called, an adaptive memory? Is that what it's called, I think? Where he could recite great works of arts. At one point, his dad was quoted that if they ever lost any of the great works, that he could recite them to
like
bring them back.
Like a photographic memory.
Right. And his mother was kind of the inventor. And as a child, Nikola Tesla was inventing things all the time. He had a very good mind of solving challenges. One occurrence is that the village got a new fire truck, and they wanted to show everybody in town about it. And they started a fire, and they dropped the hose into the river or a lake to put out the fire, but it wasn't working. Nikola Tesla all of a sudden got the idea, I bet the hose dropped into the lake or water was coiled up. So he stripped off his clothes, jumped in the water, followed the hose, and unkinked it. And then the fire truck worked. And so he kind of became a little town hero. And he was always interested in birds and flight and how he loved waterfalls. He was enamored with waterfalls and how to figure out how to take the energy of the waterfalls, and really smart kid. But then after he got done with school as a youngster, he got deathly sick. And when he wanted to be an engineer, and he knew his father, I believe, wanted him to go into some other line of work. And he wanted to be an engineer, and his dad was like, no. And when he got deathly sick, his father was so worried about him. He said to his dad, well, maybe if I could go to engineer school, I would be better. And his dad said, I will send you to the finest school of engineering. And that's what happened. So he was sent to be an engineer.
That is, thanks for sharing that, man. I hadn't heard that about the whole kind of Scotty, the fire hose. You know, like the village kind of hero.
Yeah.
Like at a young age, he was always going to be the special one, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. He had just, his mind was just right from the get-go was wired for problem solving and solve, figuring things out and inventing things and, dealing with kind of complex issues and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty cool, man. And I mean, yeah, it seems like he was destined for that. And then going back to what you were saying about people talking about the connections with the Vatican or whatever, I think that might be a little bit of a stretch.
I think he's interesting enough without the bells and whistles. The guy, his story is brilliant.
Sure. His dad's was a priest or whatever, or but I mean, how many other people who have fought, does that mean, you're connected to the Vatican just because your dad is the local priest or something like that? I mean, come on.
Hey, the Pope came to Glasgow a couple of times. Does that mean I'm connected? Come on, man.
Exactly. I mean, there's points where, those dots, come on, but
Come on, Nathan.
Another interesting thing is when he would go to his father's sermon, apparently one time he went up to go ring the bell tower, and on his way down there was some hoity-toity woman that was there in some dress with some train and something, and he accidentally stepped on it and ripped it, and his father slapped him. And he said there's nothing in his life that ever hurt him worse than when his father slapped him. And I think this is something that even built to that whole thing of him wanting to prove himself, because he was so obsessed with not only his studies, but when he started trying to figure something out, he went to the point of where he didn't even like to date women. He thought that any moment that spent with a woman would take moments away from him thinking about his inventions. When he was in college, the first college he went through, he met a woman that he was very much in love with, and they tried a long distance relationship, and she wanted to get married. He wanted to be an engineer. And so he went on to a secondary school, and she got married right away, and that must have broke his heart also. So after he learned about that, he started playing pool and gambling. And he started having kind of a gambling problem. And at one point, he gambled away all of his college tuition. And he got chastised by his father. And after being chastised by his father, his mother gave him a bundle of money and said, "Go get your money back." And he went and gambled and got back his tuition and more, and came back and gave the money back to his parents and said, "Here you go." And so he got to go back into school.
Here's the interesting thing about that that I kind of wonder. Did he get that money back by pure luck, or being Nikola Tesla, did he figure out a way to
count cards?
Well, that's what I was thinking when Nacy
yeah.
said he was gambling. I was thinking, wouldn't want to be in a game of poker with Tesla. Wouldn't want to be in a game of anything with Tesla.
He's deconstructing how the game is played, what the mechanics are.
It's like when you
Watching
playing
people's
pool.
tells.
Yeah, when you're playing pool as well. I always wonder, if you're good at math, do you see the angles and everything when you're, what I'm saying? Yeah.
Geometry.
So
Yeah.
that's probably why he was really fascinated. But on the surface, you're like, oh, he's gambling and playing pool, but if you really think about it, those are, pool involves those angles and gambling,
physics,
odds, stuff like physics and all of that. So it would be kind of the, how would you say, a relaxing sort of a side thing for him to do, but still work his mind.
Many of you guys heard about Nikola Tesla in school. I know I didn't. You ever learn about Tesla, guys, over there?
What I learned when I was in school was sort of the rivalry between Tesla and Edison, and then that Edison ended up winning, and there was really nothing else about Tesla. They almost made, he was the loser and all that, so you really don't need to know more about him, right? That's kind of how he's just kind of brushed aside as, okay, well, yeah, he invented AC, but Edison ended up being, and then that's really all really taught. Not anything else.
Yeah, back when I was in school, no.
Nacy, tell us about that bit then, dude, because you're probably you've probably got it fresh in your mind. The whole thing with him and Edison. We know he went over there and he was working for Edison to begin with, but when it came to that kind of the crossroads, a crossroads for humanity, when you look back with hindsight now, could you talk to the audience about the kind of the decision, Edison or Tesla, how it all played out? And of course, I do believe J.P. Morgan factors into this story somewhere, right?
Absolutely. Well, after going to engineer school, then he had in Europe, he had a job being an engineer for a while. And from that job, he got written a recommendation and was told that the individual would send a letter prior to Nikola getting to the Americas. So he gets to the Americas and he goes to New York, tries to hook up with Edison and explaining things. Before he even met Edison, he was already correcting Edison's DC. And there's what is it called on the DC motor? I can't remember it. It's a part that helps regulate the magnetic current as it spins, and when you go with DC current, when it spins in the coils, that it causes sparks. And in Europe, Tesla said to his teacher, I bet if you took that off, you could use the alternating current instead of using a direct current.
Oh.
Z Troyman donated £20 through Super Chat. PPP donation for COD with Scotty and Kev. Great show, much love.
COD. Z Troy, man, you COD player. Scotty, you need to hook up with Z Troy, man, for COD. You really do. You really do. But we'll talk more about that at the break, because we're getting deep into some And thank you, Z Troy, man. We'll come back to that
thanks,
one
man.
on the break. Nacy, this whole the sparking situation. He turns around to his teacher with this novel idea, and what happens next?
The teacher chastises him, and he says it's ridiculous. And this is the moment that he got obsessed with changing the DC engine. So he was creating designs, and the way that Nikola Tesla came up with designs, he had a memory where he could build the contraptions in his head, and he could rotate them and look at them at different angles and have them working in his head, and then he would be able to sit down at the drawing board and draw out the whole semantics of it, like all the way to completion.
That's like Scott mentioned earlier. That puts me in mind. It's very reminiscent of Da Vinci. And I think it's very reminiscent of a lot of these inventors. They see it all working in their head before it even they put anything together, you know.
I think when you get these individuals, you know, like Tesla or Da Vinci, or you know, I'm gonna throw Musk in there because I think he kind of has a lot of the same sort of like whatever he's thinking about.
The only
concepts.
difference I would make with Musk is that he has the ideas, and then he's got the money to go and get the right people to do it.
Yeah.
I would make the assumption that Musk actually said, "Hey, we're going to give you all this back engineered stuff. What are you going to do with it? You can be a millionaire." Sorry.
There's a conspiracy everywhere with you, Nacy.
Right.
We know that. It's okay, dude. It's okay. Me and Scott hold on to you. We've got a rope round you. We let you bungee so far down the rabbit hole, and then we pull you back, man. But you're good. You're good. I've heard people say that.
But it makes me think like you know, it's almost like a holographic projection that they're looking at, you know, and then you start looking into a lot of the research and a lot of these kind of papers written about how the mind is a hologram and all of that. Remember, Kev, I mean, we covered a lot of that. Was those declassified documents, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when they're talking about the
Stargate
mind
and things like that. Yeah.
being projection and all of that stuff, you know. So I mean, it makes me think of that kind of stuff, you know, where like it seems like guys like Tesla and stuff are tapping into an area of the mind where they're receiving these holographic projections. They can actually see all of these concepts and everything in a 3D space, and you know, like Nacy said, rotate it around, and it's almost like they're operating the program SolidWorks. You know what SolidWorks is? It's like a CAD program on the computer where you can build something out and rotate it around or whatever. And it's like they're able to do that in their mind's eye. And then not only that, they're able to translate that from their mind down onto paper and actually, you know, make it a reality in some cases. So, interesting stuff.
Mr. Nacy.
Mr. Nacy, what more do you have?
So he gets to America, and he goes to ask Edison for a job, shows him the paper of recommendation. Edison claims he didn't get any forewarning or anything like that. He shared his thoughts on engineering, and so lo and behold, he gets a part-time job, or practically full, not a lot. And he starts redesigning or fixing some of Edison's inventions. At one point, he fixed, I can't remember which invention it was, but he fixed an invention, and Edison said that he was going to get a stipend or he was going to get a monetary reward for fixing it. Can't remember how much it was, but then when Tesla came back to say, "Hey, where's that money you promised me?" Edison said, "Nikola, you Serbs just don't understand America humor." And so he shafted him. And then that kind of started a little bit of it. And then shortly after that, he left Edison. And I think it was for the better, because he wasn't, unfortunately, while he was with Edison, with Edison, it was anything that Nikola came up with ideas, Edison would claim it would be under his, umbrella company or whatever, and so he would have claim of it. So I think it's a really good thing that he did part ways with Edison. And then he actually went and he was digging ditches. And then one time while he was digging ditches, apparently, some of these names are escaping me. Someone, I think, from Westinghouse, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Westinghouse.
Westinghouse.
Came and said, "This man is the most brilliant man I ever met. Come and work for us." And so he started working for Westinghouse and making them millions of dollars, because then he started bringing his AC into fruition, and he was starting to kick Edison's butt. And that was not making Edison happy at all, because at one point the newspapers said Edison is being toppled, and Edison didn't care for that.
Well, I mean, didn't Edison go around like this sounds really bad, but I mean, there was like really, really bad stories about Edison and his demonstrations using elephants.
Yes,
yep.
He would kill animals and claiming this is what Tesla's alternating current is going to do. If you add so many thousands of volts, then, and he would demonstrate by killing dogs and other animals. And then finally he killed an elephant.
You know that elephant's at the center of like a time traveling narrative right now.
Really?
I urge people to check out my good friend. He's been on the show a number of times. I'm actually due to get back in touch with him to have him on again. But Chris Anatra, the quantum businessman. The dude that put his whole business on the line when he came out and said, "Listen, there's something wrong with my business because Mandela effects are going wrong."
If he's got something, then
I think it's called Topsy or Topper. That's the name of the elephant. But he's convinced, and I'll tell you, it's fascinating when you listen to him. There's time traveling babies, there's time traveling elephants, and all of them are important to the bigger game on the timeline. Oh, deep woo. But listen, they say, I had actually brought up the elephant. I'd done that deliberately, just so I could throw that out there to make people think, what is Kev talking about? Time traveling elephants? Go and check it out after the show, folks. And don't forget as well, after Freaky Friday, we're all going to either, if you're at tfrlive.com, don't go anywhere. If you're on YouTube, we're all going to jump on over to the Paranormal Portal, because Brent Thomas, he leads the way right after Freaky Friday, and it's the perfect show to carry on from. Scotty, Nacy, and I breaking down most of what we think you need to know about Nikola Tesla. Scotty's got some 3, 6, and 9 stuff coming up. I think we should get some of that after the break. But Nacy, there's a couple of minutes before the break, brother. I think, what happened then? So what happened when Tesla, they were speaking to him about putting his electricity system in place? What happened, dude? Tell the audience, man.
Well, so he proved to Westinghouse that his AC works. And so they gave him money to build it and construct it, and soon they were putting these generators all over the place. It got such notoriety that at one point they put in a bid to power the entire World Fair. Was it the Buffalo World Fair? I think it was the World Fair was in Buffalo, New York, I believe, that year. And he said, yeah, let's do it and bring AC generators in. But at the same time, he's doing all these other fascinating things and fixing and improving different inventions, but it was so unfortunate that he kept working with these corporations and not getting the financial reward of it. And that was seemingly one of his constant challenges with all of these businesses, because he swore that he has no love of money or fame. He has love for humanity.
And I think, when you look at him and his life and how he acted, I think he was true to his word. I really do, folks. And that was the path not taken. Imagine a paradigm with free energy and Tesla technology. Oh boy, would we have lots to talk about then? Only we'd be a lot happier, I think. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere. We're barely even firing up one of the Tesla towers right now here on Freaky Friday on your number one network, tfrlive.com. There we go. We're out. We're on the break, boys. We're on the break now then. Z Troy, thank you very, very much, brother. That was awesome of you. Scotty, Z Troy is a COD player. I don't even class myself as a COD player. I'm a COD non-player character because all I ever do is get shot, and I'm like Scott's lumping around with some kind of... It's just like I'm a dead weight that Scott's carrying around with him. So I think you will need to take to the battlefield with Z Troy, man.
May I inquire what COD means?
Call of Duty, brother. Call of Duty. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know not everyone knows the jargon, the lingo. My bad, dude. Yeah.
Yes. Makeup for the ballet. What we call a COD is different.
Me and Z probably need to exchange Activision IDs later on, and
he's over in disco, man. He's in the disco. You can get a hold of him.
My brother started a regiment. Oh. I'm in the regiment, so we got something going on there. So
nice, dude, nice. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Yeah. Yeah. Nacy's still thinking about the other types of COD. Yeah. Can you imagine it though, boys? Can you imagine we did go down the Tesla road? How cool it would be, like that charging of your phone you were talking about earlier, Scott. We would never have had a thing called charger. It would just always have charged, right?
Think about where video games would be.
Oh.
I mean, just it would with the technology built around that kind of basic free energy that you could just tap into. The technology that would have arisen from that would have been insane. You'd have like hovering screens or holographic. I have to believe
on the other timeline, it is insane. Somewhere, one dimension somewhere, they must have taken the Tesla road. You
just have like holograms that are just like manifesting in the air because your Tesla thing is just rendering things around you because of the energy that's located around.
It's all around us right now, guys. All of you out there as well. It's all around you. It connects you to everything. To me, Scotty, Nacy, connects you to the moon, connects the moon to you. Everything. The mountains we talk about, everything. It's all connected. So then, all of it.
That begs the question. What's the point in a Dyson sphere then?
Imagine in 1900 when Nikola Tesla's... I'm sorry.
No, on you go.
Ahead.
On you go.
If Nikola Tesla and his whole wireless communication would have come to fruition back then in 1900,
I know,
we would have our flying cars by now.
Exactly. And Scotty, to your question about the Dyson sphere, remember it's the mere imaginations of a human that came up with that, called Frank Dyson. So
yeah, I know.
Yeah, so
I mean,
probably
but
an
that's
advanced civilization would think we don't need to do that. Well,
Yeah, if you've developed the ability to just literally pull energy out of
Here we go.
the ether.
Let's do it. I'm probably early.
20 seconds.
Wanna know if you true.
Woo, 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 woo.
Ooh.
Woo, woo,
Woo.
woo, 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 woo. Oh, is it me and you? Woo, woo, woo.
Cuckoo, kawoo.
Coo, 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 coo. I am the walrus. Yes, man.
Oh, what about a
Hang on.
Beatles?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 on today's Freaky Friday. With me, Kev Baker, we've got Scotty Lopez, and we've got the man that goes by many names, but we call him Nacy around here. And we are talking about a genius in the shape and form of Nikola Tesla. Yes, before the break, Nacy was sharing some of the stories, and we were talking about how him and Edison, it was take the Edison road or take the Tesla road. And we all know we took the Edison road. Why? Because you can make money on it that way. You put a meter on it. Tesla wasn't all about that. He would have had us living in a far different paradigm. And I have to hope out there somewhere in my many worlds ideas that I have that on one of these timelines they took that path. And it looks a whole lot better than what we've got going on here. I truly have to believe that. And Nikola Tesla himself would probably say, well, it probably is. Because he would have been a man that would have loved to have gone deep into the quantum if he was to join us here on the show. Can you imagine that, boys, one day in the future? If we could, with time technology, manifest people from the past into the show. Oh, you can almost do it with AI just
one
now,
of the
right?
One of the things that Tesla worked on was trying to figure out how to bring people back to life out of the ethos.
Oh, see, because you've got to go somewhere. Exactly. Energy, information, it doesn't disappear. It's got to go somewhere.
So basically, he was trying to think about how to recover that data that was wiped off the hard drive.
You see, Scott, where some people go hunting for ghosts, Nikola Tesla was thinking about reanimating them. It's a different way of looking at the world, isn't it? You know?
Mm.
And he was not a devotee, but he was admired with Madame Blavatsky.
Interesting.
He's known that he has read her stuff and looked at her works and stuff, and kind of got involved with the whole Buddhist and Hindu religion as it started coming to America back in the 1900s. And I'm corrected during the break. I said in the 1900s he was working on wireless, but it was in 1893 that he started talking about wireless.
That's cray. Really crazy. Like, this is why I said the first time you really hear about what this guy was into and some of the stuff he was doing, if it doesn't make you pause and wonder what the heck opportunities we missed back then, I don't know. I really don't know. But one of the other things about Tesla that always kind of intrigues me, and I haven't had an answer where I go, all right, now I get it, is the whole 369 thing, boys.
Mm.
And I get, we talk about everything being vibration and frequency all the time. That's replaying again.
Donated £20 through Super Chat.
We've already had that. I don't know why that's replaying again. I'm not sure. But hey, it is what it is. It came back up. But 369. We talk about the vibration, the frequency, sure. But the relevance of 3, 6, and 9. Scotty, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I mean, Tesla said that 3, 6, and 9 were like the key. It was like the key to the universe lied in 3, 6, 9. and I've always been kind of fascinated by that. And I mean, I never really looked too deep into like what his thoughts were on, why that is. I mean, right off the bat, well, obviously they're all divisible by 3, right? 6 is 3 2 times, and 9 is 3 times, and so there's a lot of interesting things, and then when you start looking into like numerology and all of that, I mean, it gets really, really kind of mind blowing. So, I pulled up a little information here. I pulled up.
See what you've started, Nacy. See what you've started. Even Scotty Lopez is coming to the party armed with links and that now, you see? You've made a profound effect on the whole experience here, Nacy. I like it.
Yeah, that 369 is just amazing in trying to decipher,
What do you make of it? What do you make of it, dude? What's your interpretation of it?
Well, if we look at 3 is the triangle, and then I always go to circles, and then we look at 9, where one of the numbers is the center of the circle, so then that gives the 8 equal points on the circle, and that becomes the 8-pointed star, and then it starts getting into sacred geometry. And so I believe that he had some knowledge of this esoteric or paranormal, if you might say it. Also, as we talked about, maybe he's tapping into the Akashic records. But if you were able to find any of the images of Tesla, there's this great image of where he's sitting at a desk. He has his right hand. It's kind of a side profile, and he's looking to his left. And in his right hand is up on his forehead like the thinker. His other hand is holding a book, and his pointer finger holding the book is pointing at the title of the book. And the title of the book is called Philosophy of Nature. And it is a very, very difficult read. And you can get it on internet.
That sounds like
Internet
one of these
Archive.
Yeah. Oh, can you get it online? I was going to say that sounds like one of these books where you go onto eBay or Amazon and it's like, yeah, you can have a copy for like £732.
The kind of book that you would find in Mr. Everard's cupboard.
It's an animal skin. It's like something out of Oak Island Money Pit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Scotty, come on, man. I've got your article here, dude. I've got it pulled up for you, man. Let's see. Where are we going here?
All right, yeah. Let's see where this takes us, because this could be really interesting. So, it says Nikola Tesla 369, the key to the universe. Nikola Tesla is often called one of history's most important inventors. One whose discoveries in the field of electricity were way ahead of his time and continue to influence technology today. Despite his accomplishments, however, Tesla died penniless and without the accolades that he would have ultimately earned over a century later. It says, the genius who lit the world is now commemorated with an electrical unit called the Tesla. Has a place in the Inventors Hall of Fame, street statues, and a prestigious engineers award in his name. But in life, he wasn't always so successful. Nikola Tesla was born in 1856 in a town called Sweden, and we went through all that. We went through all that with when Kev went through the wiki earlier. So a quote here, it says, If you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, then you would have the key to the universe. So he obviously, had there was something with 3, 6, and 9 that he felt was extremely important. And our first little picture here, it shows the moon, and it says the moon is equal to 2,160 miles. So what would that be? 2,160 miles, like what, million miles? Maybe from I don't know, but it goes into kind of the this is where we're getting into the numerology kind of stuff, right, Kev? Because then you get 2 + 1 + 6 = 9. So the sun, 8,064, or 864,000 miles. So 8 + 6 + 4 = 18, and 1 + 8 = 9. You got the Earth, 7,920 miles. 7 + 9 + 2 = 18, and 1 + 8 = 9. So we have these nines that a trifecta of nines when it comes to the moon, the sun, and the Earth. I guess in the equal distance apart to each other, if you were to break it down or whatever, it would equal 9. So it says these numbers present a mystery of an unexplained pattern in the universe. It is alleged that the great Nikola Tesla did everything in threes, and Nikola Tesla had calculated nodal points around the planet, and they were probably linked to the numbers 3, 6, and 9, and Tesla claimed that these numbers were extremely important. Tesla was obsessed with the numbers 3, 6, and 9, and he understood a fundamental fact unknown to many, which is the universal language of mathematics, a science discovered by man, not invented by him. I like how they said that. I think mathematics was discovered by us. We didn't really invent mathematics. So now we have a picture here of the tripod of life, the seed of life, and the flower of life, right? And I believe, there you go. You got your 3, your 6, and your 9, and it forms all of these. This is when we're getting into the sacred geometry and all of that. So it says here, numbers 3, 6, and 9. Do not exist according to Rodin, and this is due to the fact that these numbers represent a vector from the 3rd to the 4th dimension, which is called the flow field. This field is higher dimensional energy, which has an influence on the energy circuit of the other 6 numbers. Going even further, Randy Powell, a student of Marco Rodin, says that this is the secret key to free energy, which Tesla investigated until the last days of his life. However, if we look beyond Tesla, we will notice that no matter which culture we observe, the number 3 has always been present and of extreme importance, right? And this is something we see that Tesla was merely kind of reiterating the fact that these are important numbers, and we see these represented throughout many different cultures and throughout history. Look at how important the number 3 is. Just in Christianity, let's say, you have the Holy Trinity and things like that. So there's a lot of significance on these numbers. And so we have like 3 triangles, and I'm not going to go into all of the numerology here, but if you start looking at a lot of this stuff, it all, you get it all boils down to like the number 9, and So it says throughout history, the number 3 was viewed by ancient civilizations, different cultures, religions, spiritual mystics, even science as playing a major role in our lives. 3 signifies unity, perfection, creation, the bases, even the cosmos. In the study of sacred geometry, the tripod of life, known as the Borromene rings, represents the energy form of the second day of creation. The rings are the core of the seed of life and the underlying strength of the flower of life, believed to contain the very patterns of creation. The flower of life is considered by many as the physical representation of space and time. When the 3 overlapping rings in the tripod of life are in 3-dimensional form, energy is generated and emitted. This energy can enhance our creativity and widen our consciousness level. The rule of 3 is a principle which emphasizes the power of the number and its effectiveness, based on the Latin principle is a omne trium perfectum. Everything that comes in 3s is perfect and complete. The rule of 3s can be found in many of our everyday creative expressions, including writing, photography, films, and even advertising. So, it's something that's utilized, it seems, in a very kind of subconscious way that we don't even think about, but things like happen in 3s or patterns of 3s or something like that. So that's interesting. Going to the number 6, it says the number 6 is the double of 3, twice as powerful, but it's sublimated by universal duality, or the law of genders, when positive and negative energies are parts of the whole. And they provide a video, but people can check that out later. And it says the number 9. The number 9, which is 3 times 3, is the ultimate. It's the climax. It's the jewel of the 3s. Its significance is divine, representing both the singularity, the initial point of the whole, the vacuum. 9 represents everything and nothing. 9 represents the seed of life, the symbol of fertility, creation, and it serves as the blueprint for the universe and life. Some say he was insane. Others claim he suffered from an obsessive compulsive disorder. Many others believe that in reality, Tesla was on to something that most of us are unaware of. The magic begins with a 3, the base number of creation. So yeah, that kind of breaks down the whole 3, 6, 9 thing if we kind of look at it from a sacred geometry standpoint and all of that. I think Tesla had a deep understanding that these numbers were very important and very integral into figuring this stuff out and being able to tap into a lot of this free energy and all that. I mean, right there in that article, they were mentioning who was it, rodent, right? We had the rodent coils and all of the was it torsion field kind of research and experimentation.
Joe was going to get him on at one point. He was going to get the rodent character on, man. Never did. Wish we had, but yeah, Rodin, he was into this kind of stuff. The 3, the 6, the 9. Now, Kevin, when you've been diving into Nikola Tesla, then I've heard it been said that these numbers, like it says there, OCD. He was obsessive about them, right?
Absolutely. He was so obsessive. When he had an appointment to go to a certain building, he tend to walk around the block 3 times before he would enter the building. Just one of the things that he did. And as I was listening to Scotty, I was starting to think of like the 3 where you have like black, white, and gray, and then you have your primary colors, which are 3 colors, and you have your secondary colors, which are 3 colors, and all of them together are 6 colors. And he was fascinated with frequencies and eyes. He was fascinated about how the eyes work. So our visual spectrum, sees those lights, but the 9, that's still, the only thing I can come up is, with the whole circle and the star thing. But I'm quite sure that the dude was so incredible. He created this oscillating machine that kind of like made a thump. And he put it in the basement of the building that his laboratory was in.
Oh, boy.
And he turned it on.
Yep. Oh, boy.
And he forgot about it. He ran back up to his laboratory. His laboratory was up on the 3rd floor. Ran back up to the laboratory, went to go do something or one or the other. And all of a sudden, the whole building started shaking. And the building next door started shaking. The police were alerted. And so the police were coming, and Tesla ran downstairs. And if it wasn't for him smashing the device, that he probably would have toppled all of the building. So then...
See, that's that whole resonance, that resonant frequency thing,
I was about
Right.
to say he figured out a resonant frequency generator, and if you could tap into the resonant frequency of a building, you can collapse it, right? I mean, that's what happens in earthquakes.
That's what I also think, Scotty. Boys, I think there's a lot of that going on when we look at maybe the ancient monuments. If you can reduce rock down to like where it's almost been excited, where it's molecular and pliable like Play-Doh, you can then start getting perfect angles cut. You can chop bits out. You can stick things through it.
Yeah.
And then you just take the little vibration thing away and bada bing, bada boom. Solid matter in the room. And somebody sitting there going, 2,000 years from now, and they say, there's going to be 3 guys sitting on a podcast. Yes, a podcast. And they're like, sitting wondering how the heck we done this. Hide the generator, man.
So then he builds a handmade device of the same nature, goes and finds a building that's under construction, a 3-story building, and he goes up to one of the support beams and turns it on. And literally within moments, he could feel the steel vibrating. And then within minutes, they can see the whole structure slightly moving to the point where all the workers were coming down quickly, thinking it was an earthquake. And he quietly just took it off the beam and walked away. And he came up with his theory that he could split the earth in half, that the earth works on the same vibration, and that by being at one point of the earth and causing a disruption, that it would go and bounce back and reverberate, and as it reverberates, it would gain intensity. So then when it comes back to the originating point, if he would light off like a ton of dynamite, it would cause it to intensify worse. And then when it hit the other end and was coming back, it would be twice as bad.
Oh,
he figured.
So he figured out, like, it was like what I was talking about when we were talking about antipodal earthquakes, right? How you have a wave of energy that travels around the globe from one point and then it meets at the other end, right? He's talking about reintroducing a little bit more energy every time it comes back around, and at some point, it could cause the earth to crack in two, because you're essentially boosting this resonant signal each time it's coming back to its focal point. It's crazy, man.
Very,
Yeah,
and just a quick one, they say, Donnie in the chat room, great point, and it proves what we always say, right? Because there's nothing new under the sun. And it's not like Tesla was, like, he didn't make this. He didn't, like, create harmonic resonances. And you can even look back at the story of the walls of Jericho, where they come tumbling down, right? Because you're talking about trumpets been played for a number of days.
These trumpets, and
there you go, man.
To me, it sounds like a resonant frequency, weapon of some kind. that brought down the walls of Jericho. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen examples of this technology. It just seems like Tesla was rediscovering it, he was like reaccessing the data.
Yeah, he was
right?
tapping
It's
into
like,
what's already there, you know?
yeah, exactly. But he had that ability, and that's what was.
That's what makes
Can
him
you
like
imagine-
the
Can you
feature of a
imagine
show.
can you imagine just like constantly receiving a download that you just can't? It's just like constantly. There's this information flooding your head all the time, and you're like.
That's probably why he used to speak to pigeons. He used to speak to pigeons a lot.
The claim was he would get these like white flashes, and when this would occur, all of a sudden he would get some kind of download or some type of added information to one of his inventions.
Hold that thought. We'll be back in 3, 6, 9, only 3 minutes. We'll be back, folks. Don't go anywhere. Oh, I know, that was corny. That was cheesy. It was obvious.
Hey,
but
there's 166 viewers.
There you go. Come on, let's get doing some geometric gymnastics. I love it, man. Let's do it.
6 and 6 is 12, and 1 is 13.
1 and 2 is 3. 1 and 2 is 3. 3, 6, 9. See?
See, there you go. Let's see, Kev cracked it. He's cracked the code to the universe, and they say it was here on Freaky Friday the whole time.
Who would have known?
Who would have known?
Truth Frequency, Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew. We'll give you all the answers that you don't need.
Exactly. We give you all the information that we don't know if you need it, but hey, it might come in handy. Who knows?
If it does, please send us an email and let us know.
Yeah. Hey, you never
Make us
know.
feel validated.
Yeah, you never know when you're gonna get in a conversation about transdimensional UFOs and Bigfoots.
UFOs and Tesla. Should we talk about Mars?
Yeah, we're gonna get into. We're definitely gonna get into all of the Mars stuff. I mean, hey, he said he was getting a signal.
I can't believe that we're already halfway through the show.
I know. Yeah, time flies, man. I'm telling you, there's something going on with this time acceleration thing. Plus, we're also talking about a really good subject.
And just to let everybody know, an incredible show next Friday. The Northern Hemisphere meets the Southern Hemisphere. We're going to have Luna, Donnie, John, and please forgive me. If Luna's in the chat, please remind me the other gentleman's name. Had a great conversation with them all, and it's going to be some exciting stuff.
Yeah, that ought to make for a really, really good conversation. Really, really cool stuff.
I'm just going to be quiet. I want to listen to these guys talk because the information they shared with me when I was talking to them was incredible. So,
Nate says hyping up the Down Under show coming up.
Oh, yep. Super excited. I'm gonna get the promo for that out tomorrow. Yeah, this is gonna be a different kind of level. I think it's gonna really bring us forward in a lot of the conversations we've already been having about our origins, about where we come from, where we're going, and the whole Australian thing. The fact that Donnie and Luna both kind of absolutely, they agree that these guys know what they're talking about. That for me is high praise. So can't wait to get the Strongs onto the show, and we'll get into that on Monday. But if you're in Australia, that's going to be on Tuesday morning Okay, so it's coming. It's nearly there. Yeah.
Oh, and they say Donnie and Luna said that gentleman's name was Wayne. That is
Wayne, that's what I was gonna say. But
Yep.
I thought silly after I said John to say Wayne. So I'm like, it can't be Wayne. I just think I want to say John Wayne.
I know what you're. That's bad. I've had things like that happen before. It sounds too weird, but hey, some people's names are their names. Here we go.
20 seconds.
I'll give it another couple of seconds. Yeah. Nice. Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving into the second half of today's Nikola Tesla special broadcast here on Freaky Friday. This has been good, right? Good idea, this topic.
Oh, it's good, and there's so much more to get into because once you start thinking about it, I mean, there's Nikola Tesla is tied to so many different things, and there's so much stuff that leads back and connects to Tesla in some way that there's a lot of different rabbit holes you can go down once you're going down the whole Nikola Tesla topic. So I mean, I don't know where we want to move on from here. Me and Nate we're discussing the Mars stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla said that he was receiving a signal from Mars, and I mean, I find that very interesting. I mean, he was real big into radio signals and radio communication and doing a lot of that work as well. So, but for him to say he was receiving a signal from Mars, I think is a big deal. And of course, they've poo-pooed that whole thing, right? The mainstream, they're like, well, he was mistaking something for whatever, and I'm like, oh, you're just gonna say that like one of the most brilliant guys that ever lived was just.
You know,
He didn't know where he was receiving a signal from.
I've had
Duncan
Lunan on the show, and Duncan Lunan is infamous if you've heard of the Black Knight satellite. But I would imagine most of you out there have only heard half of the Black Knight satellite story. I know I had. And when I got my fellow Scot on the show, Duncan Lunan, to come on and talk about it, he said, Kev, you're not going to like the story because most people only take half my story and then they go no further. And I said, no, Duncan, no, I want the whole story. And you know what? The whole story is actually even more fascinating than what the Black Knight allegedly is, and may be. Because Duncan Lunan decided in the end, nah, I'm not getting a message from a satellite. It was some other probe that was out there. And he said he thinks it might have been the same thing that Nikola Tesla was picking up on back in the day. Oh, yes, indeed. So listen, hey, there is something out there that Duncan Lunan decoded a message from, and people say it's from the Black Knight satellite, and at one point Duncan Lunan did believe that. But that's the other half of the story that most people don't hear about, because Duncan came in and he managed to debunk his own theory. But as it goes on to prove, there's still a probe out there somewhere sending this message. It's just not from what he thought it was to begin with, you know?
It doesn't kill the woo. In fact, it makes it even more mysterious in a way, because now, I mean, okay, he goes, well, it might not be from the Black Knight satellite, but now we're receiving a mysterious signal from somewhere else. And if this is the signal that Nikola Tesla was receiving, well, Nikola Tesla said it was coming from Mars. So,
well, this is the really weird thing, right? Because that message that was received by Lunan, when he decoded it, it talked about the Bootis star system. And it wasn't that long ago, right? It wasn't that long ago that they detected a fast radio burst from a star system called Epsilon Bootis.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Make of that what you will, folks. Make of that what you will. Hey, it is what it is. Did the dots connect? I don't know. Was it what Nikola Tesla was picking up on? I don't know. But hey, it's all good woo for a Friday, right?
It's excellent movie. And didn't Tesla also have some? There was something he believed about the planet Venus, as well.
Ooh, let me see.
You might want to look that up. I'm not sure if I'm correct on this. But
Now, no, you're right. There's something here, but I'm trying to find a story that isn't like debunking it. There we go. Let's see this. We'll see this. Come this way.
I mean, it's just something
After Tesla thought aliens contacted him, he described his counter to the Red Cross. No, that's not it. But there was like stuff here about Tesla and Venus. It's the Epoch Times. But we'll go there. We'll go there. It says, is the movie Men in Black or Transformers based on a real-life event? The FBI's most recent declassified documents revealed that Nikola Tesla, one of the most brilliant and prolific inventors known, came from Venus. Namely, he was an extraterrestrial. Yes.
This is where I heard this from. No, I mean I don't know about all
that.
But
here, the space people visited the Tesla engineers many times and informed that Mr. Tesla was in fact from Venus, brought to this planet as a baby, and was left with Mr. and Mrs. Tesla in a remote mountain province in 1856 in what is now Yugoslavia. And I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, there's one of the earliest kind of LARPs on the go there. Yeah.
Supposedly this was in some FBI documents, but hey,
I
whatever.
reckon there was somebody running around at the time going, my inside source has told me. Come here ye, come hear me.
But I mean,
maybe.
I thought men were for Mars and women were for Venus.
There you go. See, where do the other 148 classifications come from? But that's for another show altogether. That's for another mystery show altogether. So listen,
but hey, I was going to say, going back to the whole thing with the Mars, right? That he got this. He believed he was getting the signal from Mars, and then, I just find it interesting because now we have Elon Musk, right? And obviously he named Tesla. He has some. There's a level of respect that Elon Musk has for Nikola Tesla. I mean, obviously he's named a company after him and all of this stuff, and you see his obsession with wanting to get to Mars, right? And so I just find that interesting how you have, Nikola Tesla receiving the signal from Mars. Now you have this guy who is now, a lot of people, whether you believe he is or not, but a lot of people believe, he's kind of like the modern Tesla. That Elon Musk is like this, he's this really this guy that's thinking, ahead and all of that stuff. And he has this obsession with going to Mars. And it just kind of makes you wonder, like, is there something that people know, that this reason to go back to Mars, or this need to go back to Mars, or go to Mars? See there, that was a Freudian slip. Go back to Mars. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think maybe Tesla knew a little more about what was going on Mars than maybe what we believe. Maybe he figured.
I think we're going back to Mars. You know that, Scotty. I think that.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, right? I mean, if we weren't ever on Mars, anyway, I mean, it's what, if we go to the one towards the sun, too hot, we ain't getting on there. And then further out, we're looking at gas giants. It's our next door neighbor. It's logic, isn't it? We go to the next door neighbor after the moon, even though I do think we're going back. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a return journey, to be honest with you. But at the same time, you can't take away from people saying, well, come on. It's just logic you go there next, guys. And it is. You can't get away from that either.
all my gematria heads and numerology
I
heads out
know.
there. See if you can figure something out with the distance from Mars and the Sun.
And that
or
was the
Earth,
diameters earlier on. You remember you were kind
Oh,
of
was it?
yeah, it was the diameter of each planet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, very
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, one thing I speculate with the whole Mars obsession is back at the time, when this occurred, there was a huge Mars surge. George, what is it? H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds came out. There was a bunch of other books. The telescopes were getting more advanced, so where they could see Mars, and then all of a sudden they were studying Mars, and they saw that. Well, one of the astronomers claimed that there's rivers and lakes and canals and clouds, and that it started speculating that Mars is inhabited. And so this is when all of a sudden the talk is like, how do we reach Mars? And then, of course, Nikola Tesla, with his beliefs that he could send wireless around the world, he's like, okay, well, let me see if I can contact Mars. And I would speculate he was successful.
So what message did he get any messages? Nacy, have you come across anything that he's allegedly, did he ever say what he got from the messages at all?
There is a interview where he slightly talks a little bit about his obsession to Mars. And I think it goes into the whole thing about how he felt that he was getting downloads, but then I go back to speculate that his downloads are, as he's doing his wireless radio and projecting it to Mars, maybe somebody answered.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows, man? I don't know. That was always one of the fascinating things I thought was the whole radio signal from Mars thing, and it makes you wonder, was there more to that or not? And who knows? I think another thing we got to talk about when in regards to Tesla is another one of our favorite little subjects we like to bring up here on Freaky Friday, and that is the Philadelphia experiment and Tesla's supposed involvement in that. Possibly not. Well, I mean, according to what supposedly went down, right? The ship was loaded with Tesla coils, wasn't it?
Allegedly, yeah. That's what I've heard. Nacy, what have you heard about it? I've even heard people going as far as to say that the Philadelphia experiment wasn't a thing. I can't go there. It's one of my favorite stories.
It was a thing.
Yeah, man.
It had to be a thing, dude.
Al Bielek, all those stories, But Nacy, what say you? Did Tesla ever talk about being part of the experiment?
The good old Eldridge.
Yes.
I have not come across anything specifically that he has made any claims. He did at one point in his life started getting obsessed with war stuff and creating different things for war.
Yep.
Which really is scary because, imagine such a brilliant mind coming up with warfare. And he, I believe, is probably the first one that brought up the idea of automaton soldiers or robots to fight battles. And he thought that if every country had robots to fight their battles, that eventually it would fight us into peace, which I don't quite make sense, but I guess if everybody had access to the same technology and they were using the same the same robots, then I guess, it'd be difficult to have a win situation.
Roll the robots out. So listen, Before we even get to the Eldridge, just run over quickly because Kev's right there. Robots, that's something people attribute to him. We've got the radio. A lot of people say that the radio was Marconi, but what you find is Marconi built it out of 17 pieces of equipment that Nikola Tesla owned the patents for. So make your own mind up there. The remote control as well. Yes. Imagine living without the remote control, ladies and gentlemen. X-ray technology. Tesla also the pioneer of X-rays, hydroelectric power. And of course, you've got the whole Niagara Falls thing that we can come back to. Just kind of running through a few of the things here before we get to one of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorites. I remember the first time I ever heard the Philadelphia experiment, and it was on a downloaded Coast to Coast when we used to remember, like, not that long ago when you had to like transfer MP3s onto your old, not smartphone, but they were getting smaller. They were handheld. They weren't the big brick.
Well, yes, the ancient days, Kev, when people had to carry around iPods.
Yeah.
And MP3 players.
2009-ish, probably. Yeah, around then. So I remember walking up. This is how clearly I remember it. Walking around the work, lovely day in Glasgow. Maybe that's what made it memorable. But then I started to hear the story about this amazing experiment, cloaking devices, ships phasing in and out of reality, an electrostatic mist, a green mist around a ship, and appearing here, appearing there, and then stories about the sailors. Some made it back, some didn't. Some were almost suspended in animation and morphed, fused in with the parts of the ship, which sounds totally bizarre, totally insane. And I've also heard it been said that Tesla, Einstein, and a few other big name people at the time, the biggest name people you can imagine, they were working for the US military and they were trying their hardest to make a cloaking device. And I've heard it been said, and it's only a rumour, and it was said on this podcast that I heard way back on Coast to Coast, that this Philadelphia experiment thing here, Nikola Tesla himself at one point stood up in the middle of one of the discussions and said, I ain't having anything to do with this because you people have got no idea about some of the powers that you're playing about with and unleashing here. And then we come to what is the Philadelphia experiment. Well, the Philadelphia experiment is an alleged military experiment supposed to have been carried out by the U.S. Navy at the Philadelphia Naval Shipping Yard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA, sometime around October 28th, 1943. The U.S. Navy destroyer escort, the USS Eldridge, was claimed to have been rendered invisible or cloaked to enemy devices. Now, the story first appeared in 1955, guys, in letters of unknown origin sent to UFO writer Morris K. Jessup. It is widely understood to be a hoax, and the U.S. Navy maintains that no such experiment was ever conducted, and that the details of the story
because we know the Navy, we know the Navy's gonna come out and just absolutely be like, yeah, we cloaked a ship, we phased one out of existence, and when it came back, you know, the sailors were horribly mangled and fused into the bulkheads and all of that.
Scotty triggered. You're triggered as much as I was when I heard it was being disputed. It says that the alleged claims do not conform to known physical laws. Well, yes, indeed. So then, let me ask you first,
the one
Nacy.
thing...
Come on, Nacy. Take it away. USS Eldridge. Then we'll get Scott to rip it apart.
The one thing that I really enjoyed about reading about the Eldridge is that there are some people that claimed it literally looked like an ice cream scooper just scooped a ball or half a sphere out of the water and it filled back in. Can you imagine witnessing that? And they had cables because they had two ships side by side with cables, and allegedly they had Tesla coils on them. And then when they turned on the Eldridge, it phased out. And I really enjoy the story about the two that jumped off the ship and ended up in the future, and they had to send them back to smash the equipment.
Oh, I like a bit of that. I like a bit of that. But listen, what you described there, think about seeing that, ladies and gentlemen. Think about seeing what Kevin's talking about, just out of nowhere, a big scoop of the ocean, of everything in that kind of location being scooped away and disappearing. Now that would appear like magic, because we're not used to seeing any kind of technology that can do things like that. We would literally, if we were to see that happening, Scott Lopez, we would think, holy shimoly. This must be UFOs or some kind of some hocus pocus going on here, man.
You know what it makes me think of, but like on a large scale, it makes me think of remember like Terminator 2 when they do the jump, you know, and they come in that bubble, or that energy bubble, and then everything around that bubble is essentially just like vaporized or gone or teleported wherever, right? It's just like that, but on the level of like a ship, and you just see like a chunk of the ocean scooped out as the bubble of the torsion field or whatever that was formed around the ship. It just sucked it out, blipped it out, you know.
You would think that the way that electromagnetic works, or just an example about like when somebody in the darkness and they light a candle, you see like a circle around it. And the same thing happens when you turn on an energy field. It is more of a sphere because the wave of that energy goes out equally from the source, unless there's something that would hinder the electromagnetic wave.
Exactly. That it would have just been mind blowing to witness something like that if that did occur. And look, with regards to, you know, Tesla's involvement in it, I'm sure whether or not he you know wanted to stamp his name on it or not was irrelevant, because they were going to use his technology either way. They were going to put Tesla coils on the ship because that was just considered, you know, a technology that anybody could create. At that point, anybody could make a Tesla coil. I mean, anybody can go in their garage now and make a Tesla coil. It was, you know, but it was Tesla that showed everybody how to do it, you know, and that made that. So, either way, his work was involved in the Philadelphia experiment, by all accounts, and whether he wanted to stamp his name on it or not, you know, he probably didn't. Like Kev said, he probably was like, "Look, you guys have no idea what you're messing with." You know, I mean, he's like, "You're generating, you know, these fields, and you have no understanding of the potential consequences of what you're doing." And by all effects, they didn't understand, because I'm sure having people fused into the side of the ship and probably going through very horrific things was not part of the plan. So
no, it definitely wasn't what they'd hoped for. Just before we go to the break, Jacques Vallée, very renowned UFO researcher, I would offer, says here he describes a procedure on board the USS Engstrom, which was docked alongside the Eldridge in 1943. The operation involved the generation of a powerful electromagnetic field on board the ship in order to degauss it, with the goal of rendering the ship undetectable or invisible to magnetically fused undersea mines and torpedoes. The system was invented by a Canadian, Charles F. Goodeve, when he held the rank of commander in the Royal Canadian Naval Volunteer Reserve and the Royal Navy, and other navies used it widely during World War II. British ships of the era often included such degaussing systems built into the upper decks, and degaussing is still used today. However, it has no effect on visible light or radar. Valley speculates that accounts of the USS Engstrom's degaussing might have been garbled and confabulated in subsequent retellings. Well, you see that they're desperate for it not to be true, aren't they?
Exactly, because like if this was such a common thing, then why would somebody make such a big deal about it, right? I mean, if all these ships were running around with this degaussing equipment, and this was a common thing that was occurring in the Navy at the time, then why would somebody, why would this one be, so special? This doing this. So no, I think there was a lot more to it, and that's just another little cop out for them to try and go, oh no, it didn't happen, because something did happen, man. Something totally happened.
Yes, it's also rumored that something happened when Nikola Tesla discovered one of these resonant frequencies. And the story goes that one day in his lab he told somebody, now I'll play this frequency, but you better get ready to run to the toilet. And they call it the brown note, ladies and gentlemen. The brown note. Is the story true or not? I don't know, but we'll come back on the other side and we'll get into more. 1 hour to go on your Freaky Friday on TFRlive.com. There we go. Yes. Is that a true story then, Kev? I hope it is. If not, it's still a good one to tell.
So I think, if I remember, it was Mark Twain.
There you go. It is Mark Twain. That is it. Yep.
That it happened to. And he had this electromagnetic thing that you would stand on, and he would run an electromagnetic field for you. He did this every day, Tesla did. And he swore that it helped raise his vibration, which I do think that the Beamer used Tesla technology to do the same thing.
Well,
the bioelectromagnetic emulator resonance.
We've got it here. It says that Mark Twain complained to a friend of chronic digestive problems. Tesla reasoned that vibration could cure constipation. Twain was a trusting friend who was always up for a good time. He stood on the oscillator's platform. Tesla flipped the switch, and reportedly in less than 2 minutes, Mark Twain jumped off from the gizmo and ran to the toilet. See? There you go. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, it makes sense. You got a little blockage. You hit that resonant frequency, and do a little liquefaction, and yeah, you're on your way.
Yeah.
But this
definitely pops the cork.
Yeah, but this isn't like the brown note, because this was more of a resonant frequency thing, which I guess the brown note is. I guess you could consider it the brown note.
Yeah, man. If you get them vibrating it the right way, that's it, dude. Here we go. Hang on.
Maverick Renegade donated £4.99 through Super Chat. Need to mention his quirkiness. Suck as his love for a particular pigeon.
Yeah, I'd heard he's into the pigeons as well. Definitely, man. Pigeon love, can't beat it.
I thought that was Bert from Bert and Ernie.
Hey, listen, more than one man's loved the pigeon.
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson's a tiger lover. He loves many things, does Iron Mike. Yeah.
He has pigeons in like 3 different locations. He literally loves pigeons.
You're right there. You are right in watching the time here.
And Bert on Sesame Street did a great dance. It was called Doing the Pigeon.
Sesame Street.
Did you know that Mr. Hooper was Snuffleupagus' dealer?
I did not know. Learn something new every day, eh? Definitely, man.
Snuffleupagus already looked like he was on something.
I can safely
Makes-
say I've not thought of Mr. Snuffleupagus for probably 40 years. Probably. Yeah. And I hope it's another 40 years until I think of Mr. Snuffleupagus again. Sesame Street, man. It was
Big Bird.
yeah, Big Bird. That was a freaky. Have you got a cold, Kevin? Have you got a cold?
Yes.
You do. I can hear it, man. It's not good.
No, I got some wild rice stuck in the back of my throat that I've been trying to clear.
Oh, not good, man. Not good. Hope you get it out.
One of the challenges I have from not sitting up straight a lot, my throat is getting a little reconstructed. So
Ooh.
sometimes I get food caught in the back of my throat.
Oh, nasty, man.
No fun.
No, definitely not, dude. Definitely not. Right, here we go. Counting it down. I'm trying to make sure I don't come in too early. Here we go.
You don't want to come in too hot, Kev.
Nah, you definitely don't. That's what she said. There we go. Yes, indeed. Hour number 3 on today's Freaky Friday, right here on the home of Freaky Friday, the home of the Kev Baker Show, and the home of over 30 other shows as well. We've got something for everyone on Truth Frequency Radio, tfrlive.com. And don't forget, coming up right after Freaky Friday, it's our man Brent Thomas. And he is going to take you through the paranormal portal, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want to miss that. But we've still got 1 hour to go here. During the break, the conversation, it lowered the tone of it. It lowered dramatically. And it was all because of me and my brown note. I do apologise. But we did establish that this was a thing. And Mark Twain, no less. He was the one that 2 minutes into feeling the vibration, the brrrr, oh, away he went, ladies and gents. He was screaming out the room, way to the toilet. That's all you need to know. Yep.
It broke him loose. It did the job. So hey, yeah. But I've heard of stories of the origins of the brown note going all the way back to like the Victorian era, where there was some guy that had created an instrument of some kind, and he was going to present this to some either aristocratic family or some royals, higher ups in society. And when he hit the note, it wasn't a good time at the ball, let's just say. And
you see, I reckon there's various origin story for the brown note, but you know what's really important, folks? That out there somewhere, right now, there is a frequency that exists. That if you were to play it, it's gonna get messy.
I definitely believe so. Now, the Mark Twain Tesla thing, I totally
want it to be real.
Happen. Oh, it totally happened. I'm sure it happened. I'm sure it did.
I want it to be real, so it is. In my world, it is, Scott.
Yeah. Hey, it's Freaky Friday. It happened.
The brown note story that I heard was a band in Chicago. So supposedly had their amplifiers up so hard or so high that when the bass player hit a certain note, something like 20% of the crowd let it go.
They evacuated.
Yeah. Well, here's something, right? Here's something. You won't hear this on many shows dedicated to Nikola Tesla, probably for a reason. But we're not like many shows. So it says over here, we're going to get into his pigeon love. It says among Tesla's quirks was his fondness for pigeons. When he was living in New York, he spent hours each week feeding pigeons in the park and routinely took home any that were injured so he could nurse them back to health. He often kept the windows open in his hotel suite in the New Yorker, I would imagine, which he lived so pigeons could visit when they wished, resulting in a horrible mess. And that was nothing to do with the brown note. He once even asked a hotel chef to prepare a special mix of seeds for his feathered friends, and Tesla's acquaintances found his passion for pigeons puzzling because the inventor was a well-known germaphobe. He never married, but he admitted to falling in love with a very special white pigeon that visited him regularly. Ladies and gentlemen, behold the pale pigeon. He reportedly said, I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. As long as I had her, there was a purpose to my life. Don't be judgy. Don't be judgy. He was way ahead of his time. Hey, listen, people would have celebrated somebody loving a pigeon nowadays.
Tesla was kind of pioneering.
He was woke before it was a thing. You see, he was he introduced wokeness with a pigeon. So it says here, I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men. In 1922, Tesla reported that the white pigeon had flown into his room to tell him that she was passing. Before the bird passed, he said, a white light shone from her eyes, brighter than anything he had ever generated with his electrical machinery. Tesla was heartbroken at her death, and he told friends at that moment he felt his life's work was finished.
Wow. Hey, can I just let me throw a little
time traveler, Scott?
Let me throw a little woo into the situation here. What if this pigeon was a messenger and it was giving him information of some kind, right? Like it was coming in the form of a pigeon. I mean, I don't know. Who knows, man? Who knows? I don't know. There's. It's odd. It's odd, but hey, when you talk about a lot of these genius level savants or whatever, they have very interesting, eccentric, and quirky behaviors.
Maybe if it was a passenger pigeon, maybe it came to tell him that in his homeland and that there was going to be a coo.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I like it. So
Sorry.
listen,
well, Donnie in the chat said it was his totem, right? Like that's what I was thinking. Like, you're it's like his spirit animal, if you will, or it's something that is there to like give him a message of some kind. That's what I was kind of thinking along the lines. He obviously felt this connection with this white pigeon, right? And it's like the I don't know, man. Just another interesting fact in his
very interesting life.
Yeah, indeed.
So we can't really do a show on Tesla without talking about what happened to some of his information, because there's a bit of a disparity about what made it from Tesla's kind of bedroom over to the Tesla Museum and the Tesla Foundation. And there's a disparity because there was said to be X amount of boxes of research in his room. And that's how he kept his stuff in big chests. There was, say, so many X amount was supposed to be there. But by the time it was all said and done, there was only Y amount. And then you start to get into the story of the FBI coming and taking the files away. So what do we think there, guys? What do we think's... What do we think?
I definitely believe that there is a lot of Tesla's information that was taken and hidden away from the public and is possibly being exploited in regards to when we talk about like breakaway civilization and things like that. That technology that is like 70 years ahead of what we get to play around with and mess with. I think that a lot of that is technology that is being gleaned from a lot of the work that was taken from Tesla. It's almost like, in a sense, how a lot of technology, I believe, was reverse engineered from Roswell, right? It's kind of the same thing when it comes to Tesla's work. I think there was a lot of it that was taken. They're pouring through it. They're looking through it, and I'm sure he probably had a lot of ideas and concepts and inventions that were sketched out and put on paper, but he was to quote, was it Tony Stark's dad, he was limited by the technology of his time in order to make these things a reality. So they knew the value of that. Like when they poured through and looked at his papers, they're like, oh, this is stuff that further down the line we'll be able to tap into and do something with, but right now we just can't do it. So we're going to just take it, hide it away. And, so
yeah,
that's what I think happened with his work.
Definitely.
What do you think?
And Tesla, I mean, I just called Nacy Tesla. Wow. There's a compliment. So, Nacy, you touched on it earlier. I've heard of Tesla being interested in making the kind of death ray, things like that, weapons. And that's why it's a no-brainer.
You just read my mind.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me why I could definitely go along with the FBI or the CIA or any of the kind of alphabet agencies from around the world wanting to get their hands on that stuff, right?
Well, he was coming up with like electromagnetic torpedoes. Like when I was saying earlier how he was starting to get into warfare.
Yep.
It's incredible all the different stuff that he was in.
It's even rumored, sorry, Nacy, but you can probably fill this in better. I've heard it said that Tunguska might even have been some kind of demonstration because he was trying to sell stuff to the Russians, I don't know.
Well, he was constantly still, because that's his homeland. So he was constantly, he was around the world. He was known, and he would go around the world and give all of these spectacular demonstrations where he would take light bulbs and he would hold them up and they would turn on in his hand. He would the neon bulbs. He would hold them up like the long neon balls, and he would wave them around like they were magic wands or like lightsabers and stuff. And then he would do the wireless, lighting lights. It was a spectacular show. Usually all his shows were packed to the hilt to go there. And so with that world-renownedness, he was hobnobbing with the absolute rich and famous and the elitist and also the royalty from around the world. So he was in communication with his homeland still. He did eventually become an American citizen.
Yep.
And then after that, I think he maybe like settled down a little bit.
With Pigeon.
With his pigeon. And they called it Pigeon Love. Sorry.
Oh, nice. I like it.
But so the death ray story, he claimed that he could, from any location, use the atmosphere and make a death ray, an electromagnetic pulse or beam, and take out any city around the world. And he did approach the military, but everybody laughed at him. And then, allegedly, this I tried to dig in a little bit deeper, but allegedly he gave every country in the world the schematics of his death ray.
I've heard that.
Which would make sense, because if everybody had a death ray, who would ever use it?
Exactly. It was you might as well just proliferate it out to everybody. That way it becomes it becomes
assured destruction.
Yeah, mutual assured destruction. So that that makes sense. Then he built his tower,
Mm-hmm.
the big tower. And so he never did they ever manage to fully complete it, or was it almost complete? I can't remember.
After his laboratory was burned in New York, allegedly a fire happened in the laundromat below. His laboratory was above a laundromat. Supposedly a night watchman, they alleged, was smoking a cigarette by oily rags. I think it absolutely was like economic sabotage.
Yeah, industrial espionage and sabotage going on there.
See, it was wireless communicator, wireless transmission.
Wardenclyffe, yeah.
Well, he constantly said that, I want to give this out for free. And if there's an unlimited, untapped energy out there just from the atmosphere, nobody would ever need, meters. Energy would be for free. Cars would drive for free. All of this stuff, but this is where the problem with J.P. Morgan and the other tycoons were like, well, if there's not a meter, how can we charge people for, and he's like, but that's not what it is about. So his laboratory burns down. So then he goes to Colorado Springs.
Yep.
And he has a place in a hotel, and then a few miles away from the hotel, he had his laboratory, which people weren't allowed to go, but unless invited or on special occasions and stuff, he usually met people in the hotel. Once in a while, they'd bring people up to his laboratory. But one time, he did an experiment when he turned on one of his oscillators or coils, and it was so successful that it burned out the turbine to the Colorado Springs electrical plant.
Yep.
And so he had to shut that off, and he was kind enough to replace and pay the cost to replace the turbine. But that's the incredible thing is when you look at some of these pictures of Tesla from his laboratory in Colorado, they're incredible.
Well, I'm
He's
looking at
standing
one just
in
now.
electricity.
Right now it says, this is outside, and it says this is an alley photograph from Colorado Springs documenting 3 lights receiving power by means of electrodynamic induction from an oscillator which is 60 feet, 18 meters, which is interesting because 18 is 3 times 6, from the bulbs placed on the ground outside the building to demonstrate they had no connection to the power source. It's also 2 times 9, 369, 18 meters. That's a sweet spot above the ground, boys. If we want to be doing anything.
8 plus 1 is 9.
Yep, exactly. There you go. See, yep.
See, there you go. I mean, there we go with the 369 thing going on, and
it's everywhere.
S23 in the chat mentioned the tower in Texas, the new tower in Texas, and that's a good shout out because our friends Melissa and Aaron Dykes have actually been out there to investigate what that tower was, and it indeed is a modern Tesla tower. I mean, it shows that his technology was so ahead of its time that we now have companies that are building these things and trying to get this whole wireless energy thing going.
I've heard the Russians were big into this as well, that they were really big into this kind of thing,
Yeah, they probably still are.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows how far the Russians have got when it comes to all of this. But there's a company out there that's working on
even think of that guy that was on Skinwalker Ranch, Travis Taylor, the guy, the physicist that works for the Department of Defense. He was also on the Tesla files, and they actually recreated the towers. They built the towers out there. They had a remote-controlled boat that they were able to play about with out on the lake. wireless electricity. It was going all fine. It was absolutely perfect, you know. So this isn't like, we're not talking about stuff that you can't recreate here. This is all still here today. It's always been here. We just need to tap into it. And the thing is, this is what connects us all, because it's that ether as well that Tesla talks about. The ether that it runs through everything, and this is where the electric universe starts to make more sense. Everything makes more sense when you go down this electromagnetic other road. The paradigm not taken, you know?
As you were talking earlier about his missing boxes, you know, it just stands to reason that this genius would have some secrets that everybody would want. And I do love the accusations that a certain past president, his uncle, was supposedly part of the group that recovered all the boxes.
So they say.
So they say. I mean, but who knows?
And even if he was, I mean, so what? What's that prove? You're a Fed, you know. If you've been sent out to collect the boxes, you know, I don't know. A lot of people make a lot about that. There's another one.
Either
you
way,
know,
either way, I think they got a hold of his information.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of who collected it. You know, they got a hold of the information. They filed it away. They kept it away from the public, and you know, it became kind of like this classified technology that they continue to tap into and research and all of that whenever they feel that they have the ability to actually make some of this stuff work, you know, that when they feel that they have the technology to actually make some of these things. Yeah, I think we still to this day, I mean, we literally do to this day, we have products that are showing up that are literally Tesla technology, right? Like what is one of the most recent advancements in cell phone technology, right? Wireless charging, where you can just slap your phone on top of someone's phone and do this shared charging thing just through the air, right? Or just setting your phone, you know, next to the wireless charging base or whatever. I mean, that's Tesla technology, and it's being utilized today, and it just makes you wonder what new advancements are we going to see in the future that was actually probably you know, that they used that information to make this to make these advancements. Who knows how much stuff he actually came up with. That's what's crazy.
Exactly.
Like how much of our technology really is influenced by Tesla, and we don't even know it, right?
And how much of the hidden technology is probably, you know, governed by it. You know, some of these tic-tac videos and the craft that do these amazing maneuvers and anti-gravitics, and I'm pretty much thinking that there could be a chance this was in Tesla's papers as well, you know?
That's what kind of me and Naysay were hinting at during the break, you know, when we were like, you know, UFOs and Tesla. I mean, how many of these experimental aircraft that, you know, we probably see as UFOs?
He talked about electric aircraft, didn't he? He talked about that.
Yeah, I mean,
drawings of it and things.
I think probably a lot of these dark shadow project, you know, military craft that, you know, I guess we could just once again consider it part of like breakaway civilization stuff, right? A lot of this military tech that is experimental right now is probably utilizing a lot of this stuff, a lot of the work that Tesla was involved in, right?
Now, let me show you something here, boys. Now, obviously, disclaimer to the whole audience, and I'm going to drop this over at the TFR chat room as well. Give me 2 seconds to get it over there, boys. But I found an alleged sketching, drawing blueprint from our man Tesla. Alleged. I'm only finding it right now, so when I show this, people need to know That's I'm being very honest. I'm not saying I got it from some secret source at Colorado Springs or
Nothing is
anything.
confirmed. Nothing is confirmed. We're just
Okay, so we're talking about something called the High Velocity, High Altitude VTOL aircraft. Now, this patent comes from 1963, okay? However, it's coming from a website that says it was taken from like workings of Tesla. I don't know, right? I don't know. It looks too good to be true. Probably is. But look at that. Now, does that not look like some kind of flying saucer type thing? They say we've got the overhead view, right? And it looks like some kind of rotating kind of fan type thing on the top. But then you see the side view and it's just a disc, dude. It's a disc, man. We're looking at a disc schematic. I don't know if it's real or not. I want it to be real. I want it to be Tesla's, but somebody came up with it. You know?
It
You know, if you
I'm gonna dig more. I'm gonna dig more on it, boys.
Yeah, I mean, it would fall in line with something. It definitely has that crazy fan UFO toroidal thing going on.
well, if you think of a saucer, and at the bottom of the saucer, if you had like 3 or 4 like half spheres or half domes coming out of the bottom, and inside the center of each of those domes was an electromagnetic pulse creator or field generator. And if it was electromagnetic and the Earth is electromagnetic, if you just find the exact opposite polarities, you can jump off the Earth. And maybe you can jump back after the break.
Well said, Nacy. Well said. Now, here's one that definitely is. This is definitely a Tesla one. Check this out. 1928, and it's for that VTOL type technology. But look at this thing. This is like somebody like powering a propeller with. It looks like, I don't know. It just looks weird. It looks weird, does it not?
Tesla's like, hey, we'll just sketch one down here. Yeah, we'll file it for later. You know,
It's like some kind of helicopter, man.
Since he was a little kid, he would make
look at the guy
aerial
sitting in
things.
it. Can you see the guy sitting in it, Kev?
Yep.
You can see the dude sitting in it. Hey, it's the Mayan
Scuba
guy.
Dave. We've got Scuba Steve. We've got, who's the other dude? Oh, what was the other one, man?
It's the Mayan
Diver
guy.
Dave, and then we've got the Palenque astronaut. All three of them hang out together. Yep. That is the Palenque astronaut. Look at him. Yep. You're right, dude. Deep blue on today's Freaky Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Deep blue.
Tesla. Yep.
This has been very good. Magnetic turbine says S23. S23 now, there would be a good fit for a Freaky Friday, if ever there was one. Yes, indeedy. So,
A magnetic turbine. Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. See that this is gonna say it's attributed to Tesla. Look, it says it is an advanced tic tac. Tesla's flying saucer, but is it? Oh look, did he design this? It is.
Yes. Oh no! I'm just. It's
I want
Freaky
it
Friday.
to be. I want it to be.
What would you think Tesla would say if he came back today and looked what's going on?
It would say it doesn't surprise me. I seen it going this way back when the JP Morgan walked away from me back in the day.
He would turn on his thumper and crack the.
I think he would say, "I told you so."
Hey, I would tell him to turn on the thumper. I'm like, let's just fire it up, get it over with.
Turn on the thumper. I like it. What do you reckon, Scott? What do you reckon? Do you reckon it would need to go down to 10 kilometers deep? That viscous area, that very active area of the planet.
You know what? You know what, Kev? I bet in those papers that were taken, those numbers.
Well, get this. Do you want me to blow your mind? 10 kilometers deep is 6.21 miles. 6 plus 2 plus 1 equals 9. 6 is in there, and the 2 plus the 1 equals 3. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what the human mind can do and connect dots and come up with woo that's pretty cool. And does it mean something? Was he onto it then, Scott? Is that what he's talking about? There's a part of the Earth 6.21 miles down where, oh boy, that's where it all goes on.
Yeah, you hit that resonant frequency and oh boy, it's go time.
Are either one of you able to find Tesla and the Vril?
Oh.
I'll have a look.
I'm trying to remember what it was about Tesla and the Vril, but he had a thing for the Vril.
I'm just watching the clock here. A thing for the Vril, you say?
Yeah.
Nice.
You can't just stick to pigeons, man.
But the book that I recommend...
on KBS, I think I would have got stuck on the pigeon love. I must admit, I'd have pursued that a bit further, a bit deeper, a bit dodgier. Like I do. Like only I do. Hanger 18.5, baby. Hanger 18.5. Right, here we go. Let's bring back the network. Oh, there we go. And we're almost at the 9. We're almost at the climax, the culmination of this week's Freaky Friday. And I, for one, have really enjoyed this, Scotty Lopez. This has been fabulous. And there's still one segment to go before we hand over the Tesla Tash of Woo. Yes, the little Tashateer there. And we'll give it over to Brent Thomas and Don Longbeard. And they can take it through the paranormal portal. How's it sound, Scott?
Hey, I mean, get your gematria, get your numerology, get your woo, all that. I mean, look, Freaky Friday, right? I mean, isn't Freaky Friday what 3 hours, Kev?
Oh, and if you listen 2 weeks on the trot, 6. Oh, and then if you listen for a third week, Scott, you know what I'm going here doing? 9. You listen to 3 on the trot, and you.
Freaky Friday. F is the 6th letter of the alphabet, Kev. 6.
Oh, nice, Scotty boy. I'll take a 6th over a 17th any day of the week. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
And if you check out Freaky Friday next...
Oh, go for it, Nacy. Do it.
We have the incredible Northern Hemisphere meets the Southern Hemisphere with our fabulous friends Luna, Donnie, John, and Wayne. John and Wayne are going to be brand new partners, Pilgrim. It's going to be really excited. I've had the opportunity to talk to all of them. Got some great stories to be shared. And be there or be a Merkaba.
Dude, I'm pinching myself that me and Scotty even get to be a part of these conversations. And next week, ladies and gents, Freaky Friday is going to be the icing on a cake that was baked a long, long time ago down under. G'day, sport. Yes, indeed, because I'm going down to my favourite land. And on Monday, let me shamelessly promote one of the shows I am most excited about in a long, long time. I'm going to have on The Strongs, and they're going to be talking about Forgotten Origin. Out of Australia theory. But not only that, we're also going to be getting into our alien ancestry with the Strongs. Oh my goodness. Now, Luna and Donnie, they swear by these people. They can't speak highly enough of them. So Nacy, if Donnie and Luna are telling me that these are the ones to go to, I've had Jess, I've had all... So many people getting in touch. Wow, can't believe they're coming on. Dude, that's got to be like high praise for these guests that we've got coming on Monday, wouldn't you think? Mr. Nacy.
One of the things that I thought was so incredible when I had the opportunity to talk to John, the first thing he said to me is, "Bonjour, Niji."
Whoa, I recognize the old Boujou stuff because I've heard you saying that often enough.
And I'm like, what?
Ah,
And then next thing you know, he's telling me about how he's been to America and they had an exchange program with the original inhabitants of, well, I like to call them Paleo-Australians. And they came up and visited my ancestors, well, not my ancestors, but my people, the Anishinaabe. And so he had the opportunity to do some ceremonies and rituals with some of, well, I think I know the person that he had a time with, but I still haven't had the time to look into it deeper. But yeah, it's going to be a great show.
Yes, Donnie, we're going to be getting into the Atlantis ring. Oh, just one of many topics that, I can't wait. I really can't wait. And of course, because I do shows every day, I wait until the next show. I dedicate that day to the show, but because it's on Monday that they're going to be on, it's Monday if you are in the UK, America, Canada, Europe. But if you're in Australia, it's going to be on Tuesday morning. So I've got a whole weekend that I can dedicate to getting ready for this show. It's awesome.
I also have to mention, though, that the clocks change here in the U.S. is coming, I believe, is it this weekend? So we might end up going through that weird 1 week thing where we're like
in
an
the
hour.
US, yeah, in the US, don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that in the US.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine here in the U.S., but it could affect some of you guys that are out in Europe and in other areas where the clock change doesn't happen at the same time. So
you want to know something interesting about that? So on Saturday, allegedly, here where I am, sunrise and sunset, they come to 11 hours and 30 some minutes. But because of the spring forward of daylight savings, that night between the 13th and the 14th will be 13 hours of nighttime. And so it messes up the whole thing if you're paying attention to sunrise and sunset. Another, my conspiratorial is that the powers that should not be don't want us to be in synchronized with the greater cycles. So we have to be caught up in that illusion of time.
So listen, if you're over in the UK, on Monday, the show is going to start at 9 p.m. Now, I'm going to have to get in touch with the guys over in Australia because we never knew that the clocks were changing. And all I can say is, oh, dang, dude. G'day, mate. Bruce, we've got an issue. Those pesky bloody Americans, mate. Yeah, I'm telling you, you Americans, man. Why do you always have to be different from the rest of the world?
Because, Kev, we're rebels.
Because you're America, you can.
We're
You
America.
can.
I am not assimilated.
You even stole Nikola Tesla. You tried to assimilate him into your Americanisms. I don't know, boys.
It's just what we do, I guess.
Now I'm panicking. Now I'm going to be, as soon as this show finishes, I am going to be hurriedly messaging Australia. Guys.
Hey, look, it could be worse.
Wait. You don't, dude. You don't know how hard it is to sync up clocks when it's Australia in the first place, right? Because I've got to think of the American time, and then I've got to think of the time over here. Then I've got to think of the time on the other, like, round bottom of the world stuff. And oh my goodness, Scott, there's only so many times that one man can live in, so I've got to juggle them and math.
You know what? It's gonna end up becoming a point to where when we see the background behind Kev, all it's gonna be back there is just a picture of the globe and like all of these nodal points and lines being drawn everywhere. It'll look like one of those like investigation boards where you have like a string of yarn going from the United States to the UK and then down to Australia. And
now it's going to make it an hour earlier in the morning. So I think if you're in Australia, now I'm going to throw it out there. I think it's 8 a.m. I think it's 8 a.m. in the morning if you're in Australia. Now, Luna and Donnie, I know that's not going to be a problem. I don't know when Donnie sleeps. He seems to be up all the time, a bit like myself. But let me work on that, and I'll have the poster, the promo out for that tomorrow. I'll have the times on it. I'll work it out. I'll get my gymnastic head on. I'll work out the times. And
Hey, at least you got the heads up, because that would have been really, really bad if y'all crashed into that without.
we would have missed an hour of the show because I didn't know.
Yeah.
I really didn't have it. Well, in fact, no. I would have realised when Warrior Mode came around, because Travis and Bill, for once, would have been on time. They would have sat and I'd have been thinking, boy, an hour early tonight, what's that all about, you know? Bang. And then I've got McCairn as well. He's over in Japan. That's another one where it's like 4 a.m. when he comes on the show with me. That's like, wow, dude, I've got to get you out of your bed at 4 a.m. But he's up all night anyway, so. Anywho, did Nikola Tesla ever go to Australia and AC? Because that would be a really good segue if he did.
That I don't know.
No.
But I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I reckon I reckon the Pleiades will be aligning with Mercury in conjunction with Uranus, split in half by Saturn going retrograde, with Pluto throwing a tantrum because it lost its planetary status. When all of those things align, that's when the show starts on Monday. I was told, Scott. I got told there, man.
Kev's going for full solar system failure.
How much I'd freak out if somebody said to me, like, when the show comes around, by the way, Kev, you do know that all those planets you just mentioned are in those alignments you can't even remember 10 seconds after you done it. Oh, wow. I'd say, whoa, synchronicity, dude. I'd get my rabbit's foot out, my dream catcher, and I'd yodel my way around the house.
Then just ride the wave of whatever comes, you know.
Oh, yes.
Did the Scots yodel?
Yodel, we can do whatever we want. We're
Yes, they do.
Make it stop. See, but we've got BPD in the chat room. Remember, you need to schedule a show with Mr. McCairn, Dr. McCairn as well. Yes, I do. Remember, check out my good friend Dr. McCairn over on... He's a man on many channels, but he's easiest to find over at the McCairndojo.com. So listen, Nacy, any final thoughts on Nikola Tesla before we wrap up and hand on over to the Paranormal Portal team? And if you're on tfrlive.com or TalkStream Live, don't go anywhere. If you're on YouTube, get ready to pack up your stuff and travel with us through the Paranormal Portal at the end of this show. So, Nacy, you're first, man. You're up.
So we're in Colorado Springs with Tesla. He's not getting any support. He's going bankrupt. He's reaching out to different people, trying to get some funding to help him continue on his incredible work, and to no avail. Moves back to New York, and he gets a little apartment and dies basically penniless, and which is so sad, because he used to hobnob with the rich and famous at one time. But because of his absolute desire of wanting to please humanity, and he wasn't worried about money, he wasn't worried about fame, he was worried about the progression of humanity. And obviously that's something that you can't find. Well, I can't say you can't find it anywhere in America, but in the business world, capitalism, when it comes to that almighty ruble or diamond or check mark or, whatever, the dollar, when it comes down to that, how do we make more? And Tesla made all these people more, and they continued to use his inventions to continue making money in their own fashion and way. So it is really kind of a rags to riches to rags again story.
Yeah, it is, and it's sad, that he was taken advantage of like that, and screwed over in the business world, and it also makes you wonder how many of those inventions and ideas he had, going back to a lot of the information that may have been, taken and tucked away, how much of that, are those inventions that could free humanity from where there's no monetary gain in it, right? And that's the reason why they just kind of take it and file it away somewhere, so it never sees the light of day, right? It's like it's almost like how companies will patent something and then never ever do anything with that patent because they know that patent would destroy them, right? They couldn't. It would cause so much disruption to the way that they operate or to their cash flow that they don't want that technology to see the light of day. And it's unfortunate that the system operates like that currently. But I think that information that they took, it's a variety of things. I think a lot of it is information that they could use for weapons and for military applications, information on free energy, this tapping into the ether, if you will, or this whatever. And it's a multitude of things that I think that they were extremely interested in, and that they just took. And you're right. It's sad that he passed in that way, penniless, and then for the longest time he didn't even really have a legacy that was taught, right? Like when we went back and Kev was like asking, were any of us even taught about him in school? And like I said, he was just kind of a passing note for me, at least when I was in school. It was just, he invented AC. He had him and Edison, it was a feud and Edison won, and then that was it.
And anytime they mentioned the radio in school to me, Scott, always Marconi. Always Marconi.
That's what I always heard too. There was never any mention of Tesla or his contribution to any of that. No. It's crazy, when I think this guy should be taught. Everybody should be taught about Tesla and the contributions he has made and continues to make. That's the crazy thing. His work continues to have an effect on our technology today, where you can't really say that for Edison so much, right? A lot of Edison stuff is just kind of antiquated stuff that we've been using since it was put out. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I think there's a reason for that. There's a reason why they don't want people to look into Tesla or learn about his work or whatever, because it shows that he was working on a lot of stuff that could have been a big game changer when it comes to the direction that humanity could have went.
I reckon he would have been able to hold a pretty good conversation, Nathan, with some of the engineers of the day, the inventors of the times of Atlantis. I think Tesla would have definitely fit in well with those cats, right? Allegedly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's something that, genius is an understatement to give this individual.
I agree with you, dude. I think that it's hard to find a word, because genius sets him amongst other geniuses out there, but I think Nikola Tesla kind of stands on his own, like a Da Vinci, like Scott said. Yeah, dang.
Did either of you come across his disdain towards Einstein?
I've not really. On you go, Scotty.
Well, I've heard that there was like, kind of this little conflict, I guess you could say, where Tesla wasn't a big fan of Einstein's work, and they had totally different kind of philosophies and theories on the way things operated. And so, yeah, I've heard that as well. I mean, I don't know a lot of, the internals of maybe, things that were said or whatever like that. But no, I've heard that too, Naysay, that he wasn't a big fan of Einstein.
Paraphrasing, he said that Einstein was a beggar in royal robes.
Oh.
And they had a challenge when they were talking about the ethos, because Einstein was saying about how space bends and everything like that, and Tesla was like going, no way, space, how can space bend? And they just kind of went, but which makes sense, when you got these great thinkers thinking, I'm sure they're watching each other and reading what they're coming out with. And
Yeah.
Dude, that's what some of my favorite videos nowadays on YouTube are when you find some of the top scientists, say it's quantum physics. You've got 4 different kind of professor level dudes that are well published, and they've all got their own individual kind of take on it. And you hear them talking about things, and what you are saying here, you can tell that there's a competitiveness, that there's a stubbornness. Nobody wants to know that they're wrong, and it's interesting how it takes place,
If you've invested that much time into your field of study, right, you don't want to end up being wrong. Because then it ends up, in a way, it almost ends up being like a waste of time. At least, I'm sure a lot of people kind of perceive it like that.
Especially when you get to that part of your career, Scott, you built your whole career on these theses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Some of these guys, their whole, their whole careers and kind of existence in the public light is by being the ones to propose these theories and being the leading. And then if it comes out and another theory proves it to be wrong or whatever, then boom, all that's wiped away. Your theory is relegated to history as the failed theory, the one that it wasn't the one. So and look, I mean, Einstein had to deal with that. He couldn't come to grips with what quantum entanglement was, spooky action at a distance, and then a lot of his theories was kind of clashing and button heads with the new burgeoning realm of quantum physics and quantum theory. And so it's just this constant thing that you see in science, when you have competing fields of study and theory. Now we have string theory, and was it G theory, or what is it, M theory, something like that, M theory, string theory, and quantum theory, and which one's right? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of everything. Maybe each theory holds a key to another theory. A question that needs to be answered. And I think that's what's happening right now when it comes to quantum theory, and I want to say M theory, because isn't that the one that's based on like gravity? There's some kind of like a gravity.
M's more the membrane and string theory, but
M.
you're thinking more quantum gravity. But now there's a quantum cubism has entered the arena.
See, there we go. It's another field, and who knows, man? Who knows?
It's great just to hear people talk about these things, even if I don't understand half of it that they talk about, Scott. It's just fascinating.
But hey, this is how we come up with answers, right? Yeah. I mean, we ask questions, we come up with ideas, we do experiments. Humanity we're a very, very curious species, aren't we?
We got to play the game. Yeah, we're programmed to play the game, play it well. Well, sometimes we play it well.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Indeed.
Well, one
What are you going to say?
one thing that I would highly recommend is that with Tesla, there's an incredible book called Wizard, and it's written by one of his descendants or a relative, and it's a phenomenal book to get there. And there's the Tesla Memorial Society in New York, and the International Tesla Society in Colorado Springs, where they have, kind of a little museum and whatnot, and showing you some Tesla stuff.
Well, I am
Supposedly
telling you,
in Boston, there's still a Tesla coil.
oh, it wouldn't surprise me. No, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I bet you there are little things on the roofs of many buildings that look like little domes that are probably doing exactly what Tesla had intended to do, only for those who have access to it. But that's for another show altogether. Now, let me remind everyone, get ready, hold on tight, because we've just taken you up to the precipice. And on right next to us now, just waiting for you to go through it, the Paranormal Portal here on TFRlive.com. And also, Brent has a banging YouTube channel. He has daily content over on the Paranormal Portal on YouTube. I urge you all to go there if you're listening on YouTube right now. But if you're on TalkStream Live or if you're on any of the other apps and at the home of of Freaky Friday and of the Paranormal Portal, TFRlive.com, don't go anywhere. Just stay exactly where you are and you'll get 2 more hours of the finest woo and then more radio after that. And I'll be back on Sunday with Bill Bean at the earlier time of 11 p.m. And I'll be back on Monday at 9 p.m. in the UK, 8 a.m. in Australia, Tuesday morning. There you go. We're out of here. Wherever you are, make it TFR and Dirty Touch that dial.
Toodles!
There we go. Sorted.
Geez, we could have had like a 6-hour show about Tesla.
That's what me and Kev were kind of saying in the Skype, like 3 hours. Really, there's so much to dig into, and when it comes to Tesla, like I said, there's so many rabbit holes that like branch off of Tesla that always kind of like lead back to him in some weird way. So
now, here's the channel they need. Here's the channel they need, boys. The link isn't live yet, but I'm watching for it going live. Now, before we go away, can I thank Maverick Renegade? I'll just play that here. Hopefully, if we go onto the screen here, it'll come up. Let's see. Maverick Renegade. There we go. There was no message with that, but Maverick, thank you.
Renegade donated £9.99 through Super Chat.
Brian still gave you that. He still gave you the shout, because Brian's good like that. And I want to thank Maverick Renegade again there, Z Troyman as well. And that's from, it's all going wrong down there after that. But I think Z Troyman was the first, Maverick Renegade, and if I've missed anyone out, I do apologise, but Streamlabs on the back end is looking really weird. It's duplicating and triplicating things. Don't panic, folks. It won't have come out of your account 3 times, I can guarantee that. But we're getting ready to head on over to the Paranormal Portal. But like Scott said, 3 hours. I really didn't know if we'd have enough time. I'd put remote viewing on the title as well. I don't think we even got anywhere near remote viewing. You know? So it was a good one. Good one. Very good.
I had a feeling that, that Tesla was going to dominate the 3 hours because there's just so much, man. So much.
And of course, this is, like I say, keep an eye on, if you're in Discord, keep an eye on Twitter as well. And I'll keep everyone up to date with the show times for Monday. It's going to be the earlier time here of 9 p.m. in the UK. And I'm thinking it's going to be 8 a.m. over in Australia. But let me check that with the guys. Let me tell them that we're going to have to go on an hour earlier. I don't foresee any problems. They were brand new when we reached out to them. Jimmy Jeans, he told me about them maybe, I don't know, about a month or so ago. And I said at the time, I don't know. And then spoke to Donnie, put it in the chat and found out from Donnie, Luna, who we're talking about here, Jess, Bruce Fenton, and then yes, this show is happening at the right time, at the right place, because it's just gonna. And then you see, even this show on Monday, it's going to be surpassed by the Freaky Friday, because we're going to build on Monday's information again. Scott, Nacy, where does it end? Where does it end?
Is there no end?
It doesn't. It doesn't, man. This is the ride with no brakes, brother.
It ends in the out of Africa theory. It ends in the out of Africa theory. Out of Australia. Out of Australia. See, now I'm getting confused.
We need to get a Tesla coil on the douche canoe.
You do. Every douche canoe needs a Tesla coil. Here we go, boys.
I think it might be quicker to get to Speculation Island.
Hang on. Speculation Island is in production. There you go. There's your paranormal portal. I'm going to drop the link over at the chat room. Now I want to see the chat room emptying out of here. Big shout out to S23 as well. And remember, check out my good friend, his channel. We've read the documents, John Brisson. Check him out. Check Jimmy Jeans out. He's over at Into the Microcosm. S23, drop your link in the chat room if you want as well. Listen, folks, I've had a blast tonight. Hope you've had a blast. Nacy and Scotty knocked it out of the park. I reckon they knocked it out of the park 3, 6, 9 times. They really did. So there's our good man, Brent. He's on. I want to see that chat room filling up with Wookiees. I want to see it happening, folks. I want to see you all jumping over there.
Get in there, people.
Get in there,
Get
now.
in there, people.
Get in there and get in there live. So listen, with that said, I'm going to not take any time away from Brent. I urge you all to head on over there right now. And me and Nacy and Kevin, we will bid you farewell. Remember, we will be back. We will be back
And
next
Scott
week.
even. Nacy and Kevin.
Yeah,
And I said Scott even.
yeah. See what I mean? So it's that time of night, boys.
It's okay, man.
It's that time.
I had to mute because I started laughing
I know.
so bad.
I wondered why you were laughing, and I thought, well, I've said something. Somebody's going to pull me up. If you don't, the chat room will. So it's all right. It's all good. Here we go, boys. We're out of here. I think somebody just gave me the tip of the iceberg, Donny.
No.
And anyway, it was Dave talking, so there. If in doubt, blame Dave.
There you go.
Exactly, Scotty. Now come on, we're getting ready to get your wah-wah pedal ready. Wow, wow, wow.
Wow, wow, wow.
Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew and your wah-wah pedal.
Doesn't have that effect when you announce it as a wah-wah pedal. It's better as a wah-wah. I'd love to stand on that spider. Oh. And that there, that's the most terrifying clown I've ever seen.
None of it. I don't like any of it.
None of it makes you feel nice and warm inside, eh? There's the woodshed, man. Joe and Popeye were in there. Saying, wow, wow, wow.
Clown. C is the third letter of the alphabet.
Wow, 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 wow. Wow.
Well, 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 well.
We're out of here, folks.